Hello and welcome to another. This is a special Behind Enemy Lines session. As we're having my good friend back in the house. He's not 100%. He ate some bad Korean barbecue. He's making it go, but it was a game time. It was a game day decision. He said, "Let's get him out there." We taped him up. We gave him a little Toradol. He's good to go. He's 100% now. Jake, it's great to have you back in the house, my man.
Great to be here, Brandon. I always love doing these shows together. Yeah, taped up ribs, got the tape on the ankle, everything's good. My throat's gone. It is what it is. And no, I didn't lose my voice screaming at SoFi Stadium. I actually lost my voice throwing up. So there you go. It's been that. But hey, happy to be here and man, really excited for this game. I feel like I cheated a little bit getting back home. It's practically Wednesday, but hey, you know what? If you can skip time when you're really looking forward to, something, I think this is justifiable for this game to skip time. So there you have it.
Yeah, I would with you for there. If I could fast forward to Thursday, I would, because the intrigue in this matchup, of course, how much we wanted, there's just so many layers to it. Of course, how much we wanted as a team, for how much you guys have had our number. Where these two teams are at, just enjoying the matchup from an NFL standpoint. I think this is the first time I heard NFL history that we've had two 11-win teams on Thursday night football. So it's very rare you get this kind of matchup on this time. In addition to all that, it's this division and how strong it is. It is the fact that these two teams are two of the teams that are looked at as real Super Bowl contenders as much as anybody in this entire National Football League. And it's like you throw all that into this bag, man, and it has you, riveted in so many different ways for this matchup, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it's one of those ones that, you circle on the calendar. And I mean, it just feels like this kind of transcends the rest of the season. I know it really doesn't because the Super Bowl still matters. The NFC title game matters. But this feels like a playoff game in December. And you don't always get these opportunities. As a matter of fact, this has never happened before on Thursday night. So we're going to enjoy it. And I think the rest of the NFL is going to enjoy it. I mean, I thought Dan Campbell, funny enough, said it best. I mean, you see that right there? That's the top of the NFC. And everybody's going to be watching the top of the NFC this Thursday. And I don't just mean the Rams. I mean, these are the two best teams, and I've said it. These are the best teams in the NFL. I have never gone back on that since I made that statement, Brandon. And I'm not getting cold feet now that Bo Nix is, 12 wins at the Broncos, and they've played a schedule below 400. I don't really care. I think this is a weak AFC. I think this is one of those seasons where, if you're not paying attention to strength of schedule and you're not paying attention to what the AFC is kind of going through, I think people are going to be really surprised what happens when the AFC faces the NFC in the grandest stage of them all. That's what I think. I've just felt that way the whole year. So, I think these two teams are on a different level. I think there's a wide margin after these two, personally, and I think that's what we'll see come Thursday.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you all the way down the line, even throwing in the NFC into the mix on that as well. As we've seen, maybe a dangerous team you and I looked at with maybe once they got Mike Evans back, they could find some, can they get Elijah Cansey back at some point being the Buccaneers, but they just feel like they're fading. And then Eagles fading. Detroit fading a little bit, not hugely, just they're not as strong as they've been in last couple of years. I think when I look at Detroit, like they're not a bad team, still a good team, but just are they, ready to make the kind of noise they've been able to make maybe the past couple of years? And it just does seem like the opportunities right here and now for our two teams to be one of these two to really secure that, and like you say, not just secure it, but then maybe get around to that AFC where it is looking easier. I'd throw Patriots on top of the Broncos there with the easy schedule that they've had, and that's definitely helped them out, made them look, I think, a little bit more souped up than they truly really are. Where do you find yourself sitting at right now with this Rams team, confidence-wise? Is this a team playing at its strongest brand of football right now at this time of year? It's playing as good a football as it has any time of year? Where's the team at in general terms as far as the flow state goes?
Yeah, I think it's easy to just say they've been the best team. You feel great about them. There are some concerns, and we've seen that the pass rush hasn't quite gotten there as much as it should. Jared Goff had all day to throw, and that's why he was able to look like Joe Montana back there with number 16. And I've always said that. Jared Goff is capable of making you pay if you don't put pressure on him, just like most quarterbacks that play in the NFL, right? And so that's a concern of mine because I think the Rams pass rush last year was better this time last year in the playoffs last year, maybe even a little bit before this point in the year. So I'm hoping that eventually that just kind of figures itself out. They have the talent up front, but they're just not getting home. Not enough sacks. I'm not a big, sack over pressure guy. I believe pressures matter, but I am a big believer in quality pressures. And I think so often we just see, Zach Allen, for instance, PFF had him at 12 pressures. How many of those were quality, though? That's really what I want to talk about. So, I think that's a big thing for the Rams. And, I think the secondary is falling victim to that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say Emmanuel Forbes has been great since the Tampa game, because he has been very way below great, we'll just say, since the Tampa game. After playing what I thought was the best game I've ever seen a cornerback play. He was picked on every which way, in prime time. And, man, he was outstanding in that one. However, since, he's really struggled. And I think the secondary has shown, they have the number one coverage grade according to PFF. They've shown that they're really good. But when the defense doesn't get pressure and, you have a quarterback back there and they're holding the ball for 10, 11 seconds for a play, well, now it's like, didn't the DBs win their rep at that point? Now it's kind of on the defensive line. And I feel like that's more so what's going on. It's easy to point the finger when you see Amon-Ra St. Brown shredding the secondary, but in reality, Jared Goff had all day to throw. That's why Amon-Ra St. Brown's eventually able to get open. You're not meant. I don't care if you have Darrelle Revis out there. I don't care if you have Night Train Lane himself or Deion Sanders. You have all those guys in the secondary. They can't cover for 20 seconds. It doesn't work that way. That's not what it's meant to be. These guys aren't AI in your video game out there that can just effortlessly cover in man. It doesn't work that way. So, I think that's been kind of the biggest issue right now, is that pass rush. And like I said, still gets pressures, but do they get quality pressures, and do they do that consistently? I feel like they've been a little, it's been a little dull lately. And then that, because of that, that being the catalyst, I think the secondary has shown some weaknesses. The good news on the other side of the football is this is the best offense in the NFL. They can go down the field and win on 15 to 17 play drives. They can win on 5 play drives. They are absolutely unstoppable right now. 3 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns this past week. The thing that makes the Rams so tough is that they can hit you with the explosive. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, he probably won't play, and nor should he play. But the point is, they can hit you with the explosive. We saw the Colby Parkinson touchdown, different things. But they can also, beat you over the head with the 3rd and 5 pass to Nacua over the middle, the run with Kyron Williams on, 3rd and 1, and just keep the chains moving. Matthew Stafford and the Rams have been so dominant in the red zone. And that's been just the difference maker for a Sean McVay offense in the past. They haven't been a great red zone offense under Sean McVay. He's really struggled in that aspect. Well, this year, they are outstanding. They are the best red zone offense in the league since they've figured out their woes. Now, people will look and say, well, that's because of Devontae Adams, who has 14 touchdowns, and 12 of them are in the red zone. I'll push back on that a little bit. I think that's on Matthew Stafford. I think just the way he commands, the pocket, the huddle, all of that, I think he's put a lot of pressure on defenses, and now he can go anywhere. He can go to Nacua. They don't use Nacua a ton in the red zone. So it also keeps you guessing, because it's like, do you not defend Nacua, when he doesn't get the targets? No, because you have to defend Nacua, right? But we're starting to see, Colby Parkinson has 6 touchdowns this year. The tight ends have 12 touchdowns this year. They're not afraid to run the football with Blake Corum and Kyron Williams. So, right now, the Rams' red zone offense is really what I think is propelling them. And it's why, even when the defense does struggle and they have those concerns, the offense is so good right now. I don't know who can beat them if they can't stop that offense.
Yes, it's definitely, I think, got more than just Devontae. I will say I did stand out watching that Lions game where they were basically giving him the Calvin Johnson treatment down at the goal line with the 2 guys pinned down on him in this last game. That stands out, with when you're here signing 2 guys, not just one for the fade ball, but also for the slant route inside, essentially, for the 2v1. But your belief is that you're not going to lose anything steam with him going out, to your respect to that then.
Yeah, I mean, Devontae Adams not playing sucks. It does. Just like if Charles Cross doesn't play. Because obviously you and I agree, football's best played healthy, right? When everybody is on their A game, and that's really what we want to see. But let's just say both don't play, because that's what it feels like. I think, one, Seattle can overcome that. And I think, two, the Rams can overcome losing Adams. One thing that Adams does by being out there is he does tend to make the Rams really reliant on him in the red zone. And so I think forcing them to actually, spread it out a little bit more and use that run game, because they do tend to lean on that run game when push comes to shove. We saw that with Kyron Williams. I just think right now, Adams or no Adams, one game, I'm not saying the rest of the year, but I feel really good about this team winning, and just continuing to do what they do. And, I think there have been guys that have been willing to step up and haven't really gotten the opportunity. You look at a Jordan Whittington last year, who really stepped up in a big role, hasn't had anywhere near the role this year. Konate Mumfield, I mean, they rave about him. Devontae sees him as a young Devontae Adams. Now, I don't know if I agree with that, but they're very high on him. They're very high on Xavier Smith. Tutu Atwell's back. He made probably the most important catch of the game against the Lions. You still have Puka Nacua. You still have those two running backs, and you have a tight end room to, like I said, has 12 touchdowns on the year. I think because they're so, evenly spread out, and anyone can have their game this year, I think they're going to be okay.
That's fair enough. Just doubling back a little bit to the defensive line, what would be your explanation for a little bit of the dip in performance this year from the pass rushing front? You guys are playing ahead in a lot of games. You have the health in good shape. These guys are all running full. You added even a Puna Ford in there, and he's been in there to stop the run, granted, but a guy that can still give you a little bit of pressure at times, too, from the interior of that. What would you point to as the main reason? Sophomore slump with two of the rookies in the second year? Just maybe their teams are concentrating, maybe pay more in pass protection with more max protect situations. I know we were doing a little bit of that in the game a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, like, for instance, Jared Verse, I think he's improved in a lot of ways in his second year. He missed like 20-something tackles last year. He's only missed like 4 or 5 this year, right? So that's a huge thing. He's been much better in the rushing department, stopping the run. As far as a pass rusher, I think he's still having a really good year. He has more sacks than he did last year, but it doesn't feel like he's winning as often. And that tells me that, he's going to need to really work on that repertoire, that arsenal, that toolbox, if you will. Veteran pass protectors are starting to, come alive and really starting to feel out what he's going to do. So I think it is a little bit of predictability. Byron Young, he was having the best year of his career. He still is, but at the same time, he won 9.5% of his snaps this past week. He's going up against Penei Sewell. One of those guys that's just going to try and beat you with the bull rush. He's going to try with his speed, and Penei Sewell is one of the best in the business. Taylor Decker going up against Jared Verse. Decker's been around a long time. This might be his last year in the league. I don't know what's going to happen there. But I'll tell you right now, he's seen plenty of them. Jared Verse won 15.4%. That's not awful, but that's not like what you come to expect with Jared Verse. Lately, I think the Rams have been trying to do some different things. They've put Desjuan Johnson out there, who was inactive most of the year, and now he's out on the edge. So we're starting to see more of him. I think the interior kind of, came alive in this game. You look at, Kobe Turner and the way he played. I mean, he stepped up in a huge way at the end of this, in the second half, got that sack on Jared Goff, kind of tilted the game on its head at that point. But as far as the pass rushers, and to your point, I don't think it's necessarily, I won't say it is a sophomore slump. I just think these guys got better, but everyone else learned what they do. And if you think for a second, I'm not talking about you, but just in general, if you think for a second that, these pass protectors aren't doing their homework, I thought it raised some eyebrows, when Teron Armstead came out and said, I was done after I saw Jared Verse. I knew I wanted to retire after that. I think it raised some eyebrows around the league and said, well, hold on a second, have more pride than that. And I think you see the Trent Williams of the world, who instead of just retiring, and no hate on Teron Armstead, he was a great player, but instead of retiring, let's find a way to actually stop this guy. And so I think that they've gone to the drawing board, and they definitely can see now that while Verse is still a very, very talented player and he's getting better, we have to be better at preparing and figuring out what he's going to do. And that's just the reality of it. If you become too predictable and they know what you're going to do, you're going to be easy to neutralize. That's the thing, is that sometimes when you are predictable, but you are so good at what you do, it doesn't matter. Aaron Donald could have been predictable, and there were times where he was, but his hand usage was so above and beyond everyone else that it didn't matter. His ability to use his leverage and contort his body, it just didn't matter. Jared Verse isn't Aaron Donald, so he still needs to try and find his other ways to win, and it can't just be relying on that bull rush and trying to weaken with the body blows over the course of a game, because it doesn't always work. Against the weaker tackles in the league, sure, but when you go up against guys like a Taylor Decker, like a Penei Sewell, it doesn't.
Good points. Very good points. Did I see Akilio Witherspoon was a healthy scratch last week?
Yeah. So basically, the Cardinals game, they didn't love the way he played. They felt like he wasn't quite where he needs to be. And I think they feel like they might have rushed him back. I know Rams fans are already out on him and saying that he's terrible and trash and all of that. But the reality is he broke his shoulder in week 2, and then he got back way quicker than anybody expected him to be back. Quicker than Tutu Atwell, believe it or not, who only missed like 4 or 5 games. But that said, came back, and, I thought he looked pretty good in the first time. And then the second one, the Cardinals, and you've seen it with Brissett. I mean, that dude he'll throw it all over the yard. He doesn't care who's covering what. He really went after Akello in that one. So this is one of those games where I think it had more to do with you kind of have to pick your battles. And if they didn't feel like he was ready, or they just didn't feel like, playing him doesn't guarantee his status for Thursday, he's not going to play. So I felt like they were looking at more Thursday, because I've already been told he's going to play Thursday. So I think that's what that was. But I will say he absolutely tore up the scout team. He was giving Puka some fits in practice. So they really love the job he's done. I think it was just more so trying to be cautious after that Cardinals game, and being in the position where you can be cautious because you have all of the depth that you have. And so, that's what I would say about that.
Makes sense. Makes sense, especially they want to set up for this matchup, having him out there. Absolutely makes a ton of sense. I was a little bit reticent and skeptical when you guys did sign Puna Ford that he would be able to transition back to the nose tackle realm of things. He kind of was that way starting out with us, and then he became more of a 3-tech throughout the course of his career. Was that into Buffalo and whatnot, and even down in San Diego last year was more of a 3-tech. But you guys have indeed been able to successfully transition him back into the nose tackle position, and he's a lot, it would seem like on the surface, at the forefront of helping keep you guys clean with how you like to run your light boxes like we do. You need those guys in the middle to really hold up, because they have a hard job on their hand, not just the double team, but just how little help they have around them on the defensive line sometimes.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I think Puna Ford is maybe the most important player on this defense. He comes in and you just don't run the football. You just can't. And I heard all week how, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery were going to run all over this defense, and I never bought it for a second, because Puna Ford is healthy. The reason why Carolina was able to run the way they did is because Puna Ford was on a snap count. And you can even look, I mean, the numbers when he was in the game versus the numbers when he was out of the game were just insane, okay? Like, they didn't do anything when he was in the game. But he was out of the game for 65% of those run snaps, and that's when Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle did their thing. So I think the idea that you can put in a guy who's going to neutralize your running attack, that's insane to me. And that is really what gave them a huge leg up in that Detroit game. Because we all know if Jahmyr Gibbs had a 200-yard performance, it would have made it really tough to win that football game. But they did a really nice job. Then he never got going. I think their Longest run was like 10 yards. I mean, they did such a nice job. But Poona Ford is everywhere, Brandon. And it just goes back to Jesse. I mean, he was so excited about this move for Poona Ford, not necessarily that he went to the Rams, but for Poona Ford himself. And you can see the fit. I mean, it's crazy how perfect of a fit he is. And it's an exact reaction. When you see teams around the league doing one thing and you're like, okay, well, in order for us to do this, we're going to need to stop this. This was the exact reaction to Saquon Barkley. When you lose in a playoff game and you lose down to the wire, there are multiple ways to look at this. And you can say, oh, well, we should have won. That was BS. Or you could look at it from the standpoint of the Rams, said, yeah, we should have won, but this is why we didn't. And we need to repair this in the offseason. And they knew the run game was a huge issue. They couldn't allow 200 yards. They're just not built. No one is built to withstand 200 yards, and they still almost won that game. So the Saquon Barkley effect leads to the Rams putting an emphasis on stopping the run. They go out and get Nate Landman, who's a great run stopper at linebacker, and they get Poona Ford in the interior. And that has just made a world of difference.
Yeah, it's good. It's where it starts, and it can't be undersold because there's so many teams out there that aren't living in light boxes at times and always bringing up the extra guys. Especially this, I've wanted you watching tape, but it just really has stood out to me this year watching so many teams. I was talking a little bit about this with EJ Snyder, Bootleg Football yesterday, and that so many teams that can't kind of dictate the terms to the offense who now need to go and live in base when they face those two tight end looks. And yes, you're heavier, you can stop the run there, but now you're tending to have to pay the price on the back end in coverage with maybe having a linebacker or a safety in a mismatch kind of situation. And I think both of our two teams, what we have in common there is that ability to kind of more dictate the terms to the offense from a personnel standpoint. And you can only do that if you have the exact right guys to make that work, because on the surface of it just sometimes doesn't seem like it should work. Six man front seven basically is what you're doing. The old front, they literally used to call it the front seven, and now it's only going to be six guys now. There's almost a hat for a hat at that point as far as the offense is concerned up on the front side of it. A very difficult, different defense to try to execute. You guys are doing so at a very high level and holding up against the ground in that way.
Yeah. It's, I'll tell you right now, I would just say, looking at this past game between the Rams and the Seahawks, I think we're at the point where if the Seahawks can't run the football against this Rams defense, and Poona Ford is that dynamic, then you look over at the Rams. If they can't run the football, then this is now going to come down to the wire in the passing attack. And I don't know if that's where Seattle wants to live in this game. I think they want to be able to run the football against this Rams defense, set up play action, not have to throw to open up the run. And I think with those tight ends, and we're going to see 13 personnel on the Rams side, we'll see 13 and 12 on the Seahawks side. I think this is when it can get really hairy. I think this is going to go down to the wire. But that said, Brandon, I do think both teams are going to be able to run the football a little bit. I will say I think the Rams are going to be able to run the football more. And I think Seattle will have a better time throwing the football in this one. And I think this is more, A.J. Barner did a nice job from what I remember last game. I think this is one of those A.J. Barner games. I think this is a Colby Parkinson game. I think this is, okay, it's raining out. Let's hit the short intermediate. It doesn't mean JSN and Puka won't have their opportunities, but I feel like we're going to see a lot more of those dump off, slip screens, things like that. Maybe you disagree on that end, but that's kind of how I see it going.
No, I do. I think the weather factors into this very hugely as well, in that it's going to be wet and rainy and windy, and that stadium, when those conditions are at play and you're now into the depths of winter, it's not warm anymore or warmish. That just all factors into making the passing attack be very tough sledding to go. So I agree with you. It's probably going to be a lot of run game. It's probably going to be a lot of play action. I would estimate you guys end up running 4 naked boots to the tight end on a drag route, because that's been something we've been susceptible against this year at times, where we just kind of forget about that guy and he's left open space. He makes this 5-yard catch and then runs it upfield for 20 yards where you're like, where's the defender at? Where's the guy? So I'd estimate you guys are going to probably work a lot of that. We've been stopping the run really well, and we've had a couple of really tough backs the past couple of weeks in Bijan Robinson, and then yesterday with Taylor. an offense with the not yesterday, but the Colts, who run a lot of the similar stuff in their run designs to what you guys run, especially that A and the B gap kind of run stuff that you guys will try to attack with. So maybe a chance that we can better prepare for us. But I do believe that you're right in that this is really the key is. I know we talked about this last game, where it was who can run the ball better and then who wins the turnover battle will really be the two items in that last game I pointed to that I thought would really determine this. I think, and it kind of did a little bit as well, but I think in this one, it is more down to the running. Who runs the ball better, I think, might be the determinant, because I think in who runs the ball better is the one that now is getting into third and threes, third and fours. Because if you're in bad conditions like in the stadium and you're in third and 7, third and 8, third and 9, not to mention both these defenses just destroy you when you get into that long down and distance, I think that upends offenses if they have to live there all day. So this comes back to backtrack and run, get yourself into third and makeables, be able to just throw those little either bubble screen or a little throw out to the flat to Kyron, and and vice versa a little bit, and you can make your headway. I did feel like, and I think you felt this way as well, that the offensive attack for the Seahawks last time was a little bit strange in how it was purposely going into what I considered the teeth of that Rams defense and how we attacked versus what we saw the Niners do against your guys' defense, just from a conceptual standpoint. Do you feel the same way on that with that first matchup?
Yeah, it was almost like, well, we don't want to win that way. That's too easy. We want to win it the hard way. Like, you know what I mean? Like the 49ers, it was like, okay, you see a guy open, you hit him. That simple. It's pitch and catch. Really is that easy. It's weird. The Rams have played some games where it felt like they were playing more physical up front. And, and what I mean by that is, playing more, bump and run and trying to play that man coverage and, really trying to shut down an offense instead of kind of like keep everything in front of them. But then we've also seen these kind of bend don't break games, against Arizona, which it works, right? But like, Detroit. And I think really, Brandon, it's the evolution of the Rams offense that I think has created what we see on the defense now, because they're like, well, the offense is going to score 30. If we can keep them under 30, we're good. And so we'd rather limit those explosives and keep everything in front of us and make them have to go the distance and earn it than playing, really good man coverage and then getting blown by because JSN, took the top off the defense 60 yards or whatever. And it feels like that's kind of the direction they've gone in. We saw that with the Lions. The problem is you still gave up explosives against the Lions, plenty of them, so it's been a little frustrating. I have a feeling, though, Brando, this is going to be a much different defense than what we just saw against the Lions. I think they're going to be more shut down, more locked down. And I think, they're going to come ready to play.
It did seem like, sorry to interrupt you. It did seem like watching the tape on that game, though, that there was times in that game where you were trying to, with the coverages, like the quarter coverages down by the red zone, where there was definitely a feeling watching some of the tape on that you guys were trying to squeeze down some of those shorter routes that Detroit likes to run with a short intermediate game with Goff. I mean, the skinny post routes, for instance, to the touchdown, the two that you got hit with, seemed to be on that very coverage where you guys were up a little bit isolated short, and then Goff was able, with the time that he had in the pocket, to then get it up over the top.
Yeah, and it's funny that you bring that up. I mean, and I get why that they caught him by surprise, because Jared Goff hasn't done that all year. Remember, I was telling you that? I was watching the tape, and I'm like, Jared Goff doesn't throw down the field anymore. It's literally just short and intermediate. And how many of those big-time throws do you have like deep down the field? You just got to tip your cap and give him credit. It's a different game if Jamison Williams hauls in that last catch, deep down the field, But yeah, it's definitely interesting. But I've also, I've been watching Seattle, and it feels like Sam Darnold has changed his approach since that Rams game. Is that fair to say? Like, he seems more conservative in how he throws the football?
It's a little bit of the conservative. I think it's just those main things that he wasn't doing in that Rams game that really put it on bright display. Of course, the boring narrative to me and the lazy narrative is that, well, you guys had him seeing ghosts. And more, I think, if you get a little more conscientious into it and really the depths of it, it is trying to do too much, not willing to take the bad results sometimes when a play is not in the right space, that you're willing to use your legs, not trying to force things in late, not trying to become a superhero at the quarterback position, but playing within yourself. You can still play great within yourself. But these were all things that I thought were controllable. They weren't things that were broken inherently within Sam. But now, as we go forward, you can control this. You mentioned about the defense. Well, when you got that defense, not to mention our special teams, and you have these two aspects. It is smart as an offense, just like it'd be smart as a defense. You're speaking about more of the offense drives it, and the defense kind of reacts to it. And this is more of, okay, our offense is doing it, our defense is doing that thing, and now our offense reacts to that. And I think that that's not a bad way of going with it, because look, we've won since then every single game. So it's been a winning strategy, and it speaks to how good the defense and special teams is in addition to that. And they don't have to put up the points they put up early in the season. It's not a requirement. It's nice to have, but it doesn't have to be an absolute. It's all about winning the football game. So you're seeing it correctly, in my opinion. Goes back to why I didn't think at the time it was an inherent broken thing, and that this is proven out after that. If this was broken and that the Rams put something on tape that this is how you get Darnold and now he's solved and here we go, you would have seen other teams, implementing that. But instead, that's not been the case. We've had different strategies. It's not just been the Rams strategy of light box, drop 7 into coverage kind of stuff. You had the Vikings blitzing heavy. You had the Titans blitzing us heavy. So it is one where he has definitely improved in that realm, and it's good to see. And it's part of why I support this guy, because not only has he shown development and improvement from where he came from the Jets to where he's been through his long journey here, but you've even gotten to see some of that improvement this year. And I still maintain, I think he's playing better overall this year than he played last year with the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I would say so as well. I think all the mistakes that he made last year with Minnesota, and he didn't make a ton. I mean, I think people forget how good of a season he was having. It's why the Minnesota Vikings were so good. And this year, with a similar roster, they're really not even close to that team. That said, the mistakes he did make, I feel like he's learned from them and has, put forth the effort to fix them this year. So I've actually been really impressed by him. I don't know why he fell off face of the earth in terms of, like, we were talking about him in the MVP race, and now all of a sudden Josh Allen is right there, and we're talking about Jordan Love, and then Trevor Lawrence. So the other day got mentioned. I don't really know what's going on. I think Sam Darnold is forever destined to stay under the radar because he played in New York. That is just my take. You saw this with Geno Smith. I mean, that's just the way it is, right? But you know me. I mean, I have a lot of respect for this team. I do. I think the one pickiness I have about them is I don't like Zach Charbonnet. I don't think he is anywhere near as good as Cain. I don't. So I don't think it's one of those like 1-2 punches. I think you're actually getting a net negative when you use Charbonnet over Cain. I understand you can't use Cain too much because you also, part of it is you want to keep him healthy, and he struggled with some health issues, even going back to college. So you want to keep those snaps managed, but at the same time, he's just so much better. It's not even remotely close, in my opinion, when you watch the film. And then, I think just the defense, which I would go on record saying right now, it's them and Houston are the best in the league. It might be Houston for me, but Seattle's right there. Seattle can stop the run. Seattle can, make you really just take you out of anything you want to do. So that's really what it comes down to, is that the Rams, because everyone keeps talking about, and this is where we go back to the game. Everyone keeps talking about how they left that game thinking Seattle was the better team and they lost. My thing here is that the Rams defense forced 4 turnovers, right? That likely isn't going to happen again in this one. But that said, what also likely isn't going to happen again is that offense isn't just going to just completely be stifled. And a big reason why I think that happened, and you can look now, I think the Rams have one of the best young right tackles in football in Warren McClendon Jr., who just went toe-to-toe with Aiden Hutchinson and gave up 1 pressure. Hutchinson had 9 pressures the game before. He is turning into an absolute stud, both in the run game and both in the pass game. And they had Rob Havenstein playing in that last game against Seattle. That was his last game. Turns out he was playing injured. They put him on IR. I think that is the one thing that no one is bringing up that I think could be a huge deal for the Rams offense. The Rams, for the whole year, because of how well Stafford's been protected since they've figured out their offensive line woes, are second in allowed pressure rate. That is insane, but it goes to show you that once they kind of figured everything out and it all gelled together, Stafford's the MVP of the league right now. He has all the time in the world to throw. and they have a 1-2 punch in Blake Corum and Kyron Williams. That, to me, is why I've changed my mind, because initially I looked at this game and I was like, they're going to split. They just are. But I don't look at it like if the Rams sweep, the Rams swept the Seahawks. I think it's such an overblown and overrated thing, because the reality is if they win on a game-winning field goal and Seattle lost on a game-winning field goal because they missed it, based on that definition, they were swept. There's like this negative connotation about being swept, but in reality, if they lose on the final play of the game twice, that's just really good football being played, and those are tough games to win. So the way I see it, Brandon, is initially I was going to go with Seattle, and then right around when I was thinking about going with Seattle in this game, because I told you I was going to pick the Seahawks to win, the Rams found something in the run game. Blake Corum came alive. And you see Kyron Williams, and, he added 10 pounds of muscle, and you see Blake Corum, and, he shed about 8 pounds of, weight. And now you're starting to see a faster, more decisive Blake Corum coupled with a basically become a 1-2 thunder and lightning punch with Kyron Williams. And I just think that can just wear you down. It's worn down the best of the best. No one has been able to stop this run game since they've really unleashed it. And with that 13 personnel grouping and the addition of Warren McClendon Jr., I just think they really haven't shown any signs of slowing down. So for that reason, I believe the Rams are going to win this football game. It's because of that run game, like you were talking about. It is going to matter about the run. And right now, I think the Rams have the best run game in the league.
I think it's going to be the key, man. I really do. And I think there's a couple reasons, as we've already talked about a few of them. I think another one is that we started a thing with your game that stood out to me, and we've been kind of doing it ever since a little bit, which is that you're the number one play action team in the NFL by percentage. And what Seattle did going into that is on those play actions, especially those like naked boots that you go to the side that I was talking about that you'll try to run. One way they've negated that in the game with you guys was not necessarily covering the tight end better, but what they would do is they would take the unblocked edge and then they just have them attack the quarterback. And if I have a team that's is running something, it doesn't matter what you run anything at the highest propensity in football, you're giving me a tendency. You're giving me something that you might do it great, you might be awesome at it, but you're telling me defensively I do this at a very supremely high rate that you can count upon. And I liked that the Seahawks did implement that last time in attacking the quarterback. Now, the price of admission on that one is that if you're going to take that edge, have him come down and attack the quarterback, he's not chasing down backside if the play's a play action fake to that other side of the formation, right? He's out of the play. So you already have a light box, you're taking one more guy off that light box in those moments. So it's a way where Rams can theoretically create headway there if we're going to try to, imbue that same style of attack in this game. And then just all roads end up leading in Rome, all roads end up leading back around to who can run the ball better, who can be more effective and efficient at it from just a variety of different aspects because of that. Because I think we're going to do that again. Just say, hey, we're going to take your play action away today. We'll attack Stafford. He turns around. He's going to have a man in his face every single time. And we're going to just make you beat us with more of the traditional passing attack if you're going to beat us with that, especially with Devontae out of the game.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. It's so funny. It was week 15 last year, right? Week 16 last year, I was actually at the Jets-Rams game, the coldest game of my life, by the way. Aaron Rodgers won that thing like his life depended. So did Devontae Adams. But week 15 last year, there was an NFC West matchup between the 6 and 7 49ers and the 7-6 Rams. And this game was huge. Like, Rams might not go to the playoffs if they lose this, and 49ers are definitely not going to the playoffs if they lose this. And Brock Purdy was good to go. He played. They didn't have Christian McCaffrey, so it was Isaac Guerrero. And the Rams had Matthew Stafford playing with, his ribs were just in pieces. And it's funny because that was another game where it was like cold weather and it was rainy and it was just ugly. I don't know if you remember it. It's 12-6. That game was horrendous. So bad. Big, the big performer of that game. I mean, there were honestly the secondary for the Rams. Cam Curl was great. Quentin Lake was great. Akello was fantastic. Puka had 97 yards in that one. Kyron went over 108. But the reason I bring it up is, Brandon, they ran the ball 29 times at Kyron the last time this late in the season, they had kind of the weather that they're predicting. If they run it, I'm going to say this. If they run it 30 plus times with Blake and Kyron, I don't really have any doubt in my mind they're going to win. My biggest concern, you go back to the first game, is that they went away from the run. People bring it up, and I see Seattle fans bring this up all the time. They say they didn't go away from the run because they just abandoned it. They abandoned it because it got stopped. I would push back on that and say that the 6 runs that they bring up for 12 yards or 15 yards or whatever, 3 of those were at the end of the game to run out the clock. He abandoned the run. It's okay to admit that. Sean McVay does this. He abandons the run. I have Seattle fans ask me why. Well, Rams fans are still trying to figure out why. My theory, Brandon, is Sean McVay is trying to anticipate a move that hasn't happened yet. He's trying to abandon the run before they figure out how to stop it. And then he's like, oh, well, we'll go right to the pass, and they're expecting the run and trying to galaxy brain his way to doing it. I love McVay, but sometimes if a team just can't stop the run, you got to keep running the football. The Lions couldn't stop the run. They still were throwing way too much. I believe that's why the game was as close as it was. Because even like in the second half, it really just felt like the Rams were just dominant at that point. They should have just pulled away. And they didn't. I mean, it ended up being a 7-point game. It probably should have been a 17-point game if I'm being honest, because they could not stop their run game. But that wasn't just it. I mean, like, this has happened multiple times. So it makes me wonder, it makes me curious, because they ran 32 times with running backs last year in week 15 in the pouring rain on a Thursday night against the 49ers. Do they do that again? If they do, I feel very good about their chances. I basically have no doubts that they'll win this game, but we shall see, because again, Sean McVay isn't a guarantee to run the football. Sometimes, and we've seen this, you go back to the Ravens game in 2013 against McDonald, and I think the big thing, McDonald, his defense comes out right away. Ravens are number 1 against the run. They run it 9 straight times in the pouring rain. And they were not ready for it. Ran it right down their throat to start the drive. Then they stopped. And because it was pouring rain, they're like, oh, they're not going to throw it. And Stafford's throwing it all over the yard. So I don't know what we're going to get, Bren, but I lean towards the run. But Sean McVay, stranger things have happened. That's for damn sure.
Do you think maybe, too, some of it might have been him not going to the run last game might have been because he's playing the best team in the NFL at EPA and stopping the run, too?
Well, they were already having success, though.
Yeah, but I mean, just in general, from a game plan, attack standpoint.
Well, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I mean, Kyron had over 70 yards on 9 carries or whatever it was. I mean, it's at that point, you just got to keep running with it because clearly they can't stop him like that, So I feel like, because when they put in Blake Corum, he was getting stopped. Right. But when they put in, when Kyron was in, they couldn't stop him. And I don't know if that was the exact yard total or whatever, but it was close to that.
Do you think that that's because Kyron's just running so much better in that game than Blake, or that Blake wasn't getting the holes?
I think Blake just wasn't where he is right now as a player. He wasn't seeing the holes. He wasn't hitting the holes. I mean, I've gone record as much as I love Kyron Williams, and I love Kyron Williams. This is such a well-oiled machine of an offensive line right now in the run game. This is the best run-blocking offensive line we've seen in quite some time. I think it's better than the Eagles last year. I don't think people are talking about it because you don't have Lane Johnson. You don't have, big names. No one is talking about Kevin Dotson. No one is talking about Coleman Shelton. But these guys, and the way they're playing, since Steve Avila came back from injury earlier in the year, they have just been second to none. And so right now, Brandon, I just think they can run with anybody back there. But when you have above average running backs, and Kyron Williams has proven to be an above average running back, 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons, 10 plus touchdowns. The only other running back that's done that this year in that 3-year span is Derrick Henry. So when you are an above average running back and you already have a well-oiled machine of an offensive line and a run game, and you have pseudo tight ends like Puka Nacua that can block, and Jordan Whittington, and 13 personnel to run out of, and 11 and 12, I mean, it makes it really hard to defend. So I mean, I think it's just a much better Blake Corum than what we saw in week 11. And I mean, Kyron Williams is even better right now than he was in week 11 as well. I think that was right around where the Rams run game started to begin to be featured. And now, it's part of their arsenal, whereas before it felt like it was just a side piece, if you will.
And I just ask because it's one that this is a commonality of what we hear in the Hawk fandom when it comes down to Charbonnet and Walker. Not that I don't disagree with you on the Walker thing, but I think that there's a lot of people in Hawk fandom that get caught up on Charbonnet should be the guy. There's literally people that think that. And I backtrack it back to, for us, it's run blocking, and we just don't run block particularly well. That's the big issue here is both Charbonnet and Walker are top 10 rated running backs by PFF right now, which speaks to a little bit of the fact they're not getting a lot of help to get the job done. And so sometimes people with us, they'll look at the yard per carry thing and they'll go, well, that, why aren't you going? It's like, well, this guy just didn't happen to get the blocking that this guy happened to get when, he was in there versus the other. It was getting closed down a little bit. But Blake has definitely come on and been impressive after a little bit of a slow start there for the Rams for him, giving you guys that true second punch. Got a couple donations here. Rocco over on your side. Thank you for the $5 donation, Rocco.
Appreciate you, Rocco.
He says, glad you're back and good, Jake. Rams win by minimum 1 touchdown, I'd say. I'm not nervous about this game at all. Hopefully McVay sticks with the run. Well, he took right from your brain to his lips on that one, man.
You're a little nervous because you said hopefully. that is always the sign. If there's any nerves, you say hopefully in some capacity. But no, I appreciate you, Rocco.
They broke your heart a couple times on that, so you guys are preparing yourself there a little bit. But thank you, Rocco. Appreciate you, man. 1 touchdown minimum, he says. Minimum.
It was 12 carries, 91 yards the last game, Kyron Williams. Perfect time to just stop running the football, by the way. Great job, McVay.
There we go. Matthew, thank you for the $5 donation. Appreciate you. Jake, do you think Seattle beat themselves in the first matchup, or do you think the Rams were just being overly conservative offensively?
It's so funny. I think both teams beat themselves because I don't think Seattle ran the offense that they would have run, and I think the Rams didn't run the offense that they would have run. I think it was one of those things that you just tip the cap to both the defenses that force Seattle and the Rams offense to play out of their own means. And we'll see if that transpires again this Thursday.
Yeah, I think in the beat the own sense from my perspective would have been just the game plans on both were probably a little bit odd, offensively speaking. You could definitely probably pick both apart going, okay, why this? Okay, well, why that? Why this? And I'm not expecting that to be the same this week. Both are probably going to learn from that first matchup. I agree with you in that I think you're going to see a heavy amount of running, but just because of it is a Thursday night game. You have tired bodies. You're going to want to shorten down this game. I think from both teams' perspective on that, short down the possessions because of what's at kind of at play there late in the season as it happens to be. So I absolutely can see that way. And I did feel like, too, your Rams team did do a little bit of, whether it was not running the ball enough or running the ball enough, there was a bit of a lack of aggression by kind of recognizing the fact that Sam was having the day he was having. And we could hit a little bit of a cruise control button to a degree, offensively speaking, because of that.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And I think I saw it in the comment section, so I do want to give this credit. Jim Diggs. Corum was less effective in the second half of the first game versus the Seahawks because the defense knew McVay was running. Up 21-12, shout rush. With Darnold's play, it was obvious the run was coming. That is also true. That said, I think if Kyron Williams is running the football, being in those situations, I think you get more out of those yards. The biggest issue and the biggest complaint I had with Blake Corum is that Kyron doesn't get those negative yards, and Blake Corum was. Now, I don't really have any complaints about Blake. He's still not the pass protector Kyron is. So it kind of dictates how you can use him and when you can use him and how you can rely on him. But as far as a pure runner, he's really looked good. And he's come on strong. And the fact he's on pace for almost 800 yards is insane. The Rams, they're not going to have 2,000-yard rushers. But if, Blake Corum got involved a little bit earlier in the season, they might have.
Yeah, it's been tremendous watching him really come forward. For a little bit of a rough year last year. Didn't look the quickest last year. You say lost some weight. Definitely is going to contribute to it, but certainly looks like a great counterpunch there to Kyron. It's a great development for you guys because you guys kind of needed that in this offense around Kyron, especially if he gets into some of his fumbleitis stuff that can happen from time to time. I think it's a
Yeah.
little case of the fumbles. For Nando Cabrera, thank you for the $2 donation. It says, how are the Hawks going to stop the run game, Brando? Well, it's not going to be easy. As Jake's well articulated, this is an offensive line that run blocks really well. You got a couple of very capable running backs. You have a quarterback in a passing attack that can force you to have to play it straight up. We run light boxes. I think all of these things don't necessarily initially work in the Hawks' favor, but I think that this was the point of emphasis for Seattle coming into this season defensively. We are going to stop the run. That is where we are going to begin. And you have done so in literally every single football game that you've played. There's now been 23 straight games that the Seattle Seahawks have not allowed a 100-yard rusher. And that's on the back of the prior 2 weeks playing Bijan Robinson and Taylor. So they do a really good job of stopping the run despite those light boxes. And they're not just like, well, they're top 10. We're number one in EPA. We're the best team in the NFL at stopping the run. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to stop the Rams fully here. I'm not saying that, but you'd have to kind of explain to me on that how you take, even as good as you guys are run the run, that you're going to somehow dominate us at running the ball when we're that good. I think you could be effective at it. I don't think you're going to dominate us at it. I don't think you're going to run roughshod over us like you have on some of the other teams this year because we are that good.
No, I mean, I think it goes hand in hand because, well, this is what I would say. I think the Rams have a much better run game than Seattle. I feel confident in saying it as it stands right now. But I also think the Rams and Seahawks have what I would say a push when it comes to their run defense. I think they're about the same. So because I think the Rams have a much better run game versus Seattle offensively, and they're about the same defensively, I still think like net the Rams are going to have a better time running the football by virtue of that. Doesn't necessarily think they're going to go for 200. They're not going to look like the Buffalo Bills against like Carolina or whatever the hell they did that one game. I think, James Cook had like 4 touchdowns on that. But
yeah, I think that's a fair outlook, for that in that situation. I think we're not running the ball great. I mean, that's the other part of this that's, a factor here is that we're just not, running the ball particularly well. So it is two of the teams that are better at stopping the run in the league, and what you have in the Hawks and the Rams. That's probably going to contribute a little of it. I do think you guys will run the ball a little bit better, but I just can't see it be a game where it's going to be a roughshod kind of game where you guys are just kind of able to willfully just kind of stuff it down our throat, and we've got no kind of answers on that, and it just becomes a game, goes a little wild like that. Find effectiveness, but I think it's going to require a little bit of balance on this too, because just hasn't been a team that's taken us down that way. Not with McDonald, not with this year, not with this defense and the personnel. And we're running into this game at 100% health, defensively speaking. You have all hands on deck. You all have all hands on deck as far as your backup edges to run to your front edges. You have Jaron Reed back in there to back up your starting 2 defensive tackles. Even Riley Mills, the kid that we took in the 4th round this year, is finally back into the mix in the rotation in addition to it. So you will be healthy. You will be relatively fresh on this one to be able to deal with it that way. But it all comes down to this is the key, Jake. I mean, that's the bottom line here is this is going to be the key for both sides and how you can defend the run and who can be effective at running the ball. So it'll be the fun part to watch, man, especially with the rain. It's going to be a little old school football game a little bit in that way, huh?
That's what I mean. Like if there was like one of those, oh yeah, the Rams just ran roughshod. If that's what you just heard the next day, well, the only way that would happen is if it was just like, yeah, it was just brutal conditions and they just couldn't tackle and guys are slipping all over. But it's also hard. It goes both ways. It's hard on the running back to gain any sort of traction, in that weather. I'm just praying there are no injuries because, weather like this, you can false step and, really take a tumble. And, we just saw like, half of the stars of the league go out last week. So, I'm exaggerating, but I mean, losing Patrick Mahomes and Micah Parsons in the same week, I mean, the NFL took a hit, So it's pretty crazy, but yeah, you just don't want to see injuries in this type of weather. I guess I'm just going to say I won't be surprised what happens. I mean, it also probably helps out Seattle a little bit with their run game. So we'll see. It also makes it really hard because that's the thing. I feel like it's almost always kind of a take and a give. Because we focus so much on the little things, like we focus on, it's going to be hard to tackle, but also it's going to be hard to make cutbacks and it's going to be hard to, have traction, or like, it's going to be hard to rush the passer because you can't get any sort of placement on the pads. But then It's also going to be hard for the kick slides, right? It's going to be hard for the pass protector. So, I mean, there are different ways. One thing that I feel very confident about is if the Rams have to throw in this game and it goes toe-to-toe between Stafford and Darnold, Stafford has the ball that he can rip it right through, the wind. Like he just cut right through the wind. And I know he can do this. I've seen him do this. I don't think he'll have an issue. The biggest issue last year in that Week 15 game against the 49ers is that he was playing with cracked ribs. But this is the best I've ever seen Stafford look. The interception, I'll say last week, was just a absolutely fantastic play by Aiden Hutchinson. One of those freak sidearm trying to get a slip screen or whatever. And he just made an incredible play away from his body. But Stafford's taken really good care of the football for the most part. And, I mean, he's made every single throw in the book this year, it seems like. So that's the thing, is that I think the Rams are the better, run game. And I think, obviously I would trust Matthew Stafford in a 1v1 versus, Sam Darnold to go down the field. Now, that said, I think Seattle has the better defense overall. Like, I think they push as a run defense, but I think Seattle's secondary right now and their pass rush just seems to be more proven right now than the Rams. So we'll see. And Brandon, you know how I am. I'm not one of those people that's like, Seattle hasn't played anybody. Seattle hasn't played anybody. They haven't played anybody, Brandon. Did you not hear that? So, yeah, I mean, I still think this is a battle between the best team in the league versus the second best team in the league. I'm not talking about the NFC. I'm talking about the whole NFL. So, man, I am so excited for this game.
Oh man, I'm stoked for it too, and it is what it is. We got to take down who we played. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's like until you take down the Niners, the Rams in this division, you guys, both of you two teams that have had our number, we ain't getting anywhere. So this has got to be where this begins for us, and until that gets done, it's hard to see having our sights set on much else as far as grander designs go. You ain't getting out of the garage essentially if you can't pull this. Are you buying anything to the fact that there's going to be a bit of an advantage to Seattle in playing in the rain? They play in the rain a lot. They practice out here in the rain, used to the wet ball. You guys on a short week, not able to do any of the real practicing in the rain, or is that kind of a mitigating factor?
It is what it is. I mean, if it was snow, it'd be a little bit different, and you guys had experience in the snow. But I mean, I don't know. I think when it comes to, weather factors and whatnot, I just think Sean McVay is going to have these guys prepared. That Carolina game was frustrating, and yes, it was in the rain, but I still felt like the offense wasn't the issue in that one. The offense scored plenty of points. They should have won that game. That was more so a defensive issue. My biggest thing that I want Rams fans to realize is that you can be annoyed, because I know they were very annoyed that you guys skeeted away with that one against old man Phil. And I told you, did I not tell you that they were just gonna not really go away? I thought the second half they would just pull away, right, Seattle. But I did tell you that Phillip Rivers was just gonna dink and dunk his way and manage the game and all of that. And that game was really close. But the biggest trap I see Rams fans falling into is, they barely beat the Colts. They're not gonna beat us. Every game's different. And unfortunately, whether it's fair or not, it's just the reality. When you're the top dog, everybody knows it. There is a target on your back. It's why Carolina got up to play you and looked completely awful against the 49ers in primetime. They got up to play you because you're the top dog. This is not only a top dog thing. This is the stakes are on the line. This isn't just you're the top dog. These are two 11-win teams going at it, knowing that probably whoever wins this game is going to win the division and potentially the NFC, and only have to play 2 games to get to the Super Bowl. Think about that. That's huge. With all the injuries and everything we're seeing across the league, I don't know if it's it's always important, but it feels so important right now to just get in there, and you only have 2 games to play. That said, don't look at the Colts game as Seattle, they finally play a good team and they're just and they went up against Phillip Rivers and they barely won. The Rams are going to get the best from Seattle, and I think Seattle's going to get the best from the Rams. The good thing, and the reason why I feel really good about the Rams in this one as well, is because the Rams were not satisfied with that win. They were happy they won that game, but they knew they got away with some things in that one, and that's not going to fly in other games. And that's why I said it when it happened. I felt like Carolina was the last loss they were going to have of the year, and I still feel that way. And so we'll find out if I'm right or wrong. But one thing's for sure, this Thursday night it's going to be a banger. They lucked out. I'll tell you, Amazon Prime Video is going crazy knowing that they have this game. I'm sure there were plenty of people that were trying to get this from them. That was not going to happen. So I got Rams 30-24, Brando. I think. Oh
my goodness.
Yeah, I think we're going to see more scoring than maybe some people think. The last game was 21-19. I think we'll see a little bit more scoring because I think both offenses will look better in this one, which is funny because it's in the rain, not controlled environment. But with that said, I got 30-24. I think the Rams are going to hold on to the lead from like the third quarter on. I think they're going to control the clock. I think they're going to control the game with the run game. This is going to be like a Blake Corum, Kyron Williams heavy second half. And I think Sean McVay knows he can get cute with it and has, but I think it's going to be big reliance on Puka Nacua on third down to move the chains. Not going to do anything crazy. Just going to do what you know is going to work. Feed it to Puka. If he's covered, he's open. Like the whole thing, what Phil Simms said about Mark Bavaro. If he's covered, he's open. I mean, that's Puka Nacua, who's probably going to break the record for most contested catches in a season in the PFF, era. So, yeah, I think that's what they're going to do. Like they're going to rely heavy on him on those third downs, those fourth downs, if even. And then I think we're going to see Blake Corum and Kyron Williams kind of close this game out. But I think both defenses come to play. It still is not going to be enough to stop both offenses from scoring some points. So 30-24 is my prediction, Rams.
And I'm a little lower scoring. I think that the rain and I think that the amount of the runs in this game from both teams will shorten up a lot of this game and kind of hold down a little bit of that offense as much as the defense holding them down. It'll be, I think, just a bit of the approach from the offense. Of course, I'm giving my Hawks a 3-point win in this one in my outlook of it. By the way, I see this one kind of going, just all things being equal. It could go either way on this, no doubt. No doubt about that. And I think that when it comes to, the haven't played anybody thing, I think that that's definitely, and I know you're not saying it, but I think it's definitely an unfair thing when you're looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to win their division. We beat the Jaguars. The Steelers are going to win their division. We beat the Steelers. The Texans, everybody tells me they're the best defense in the sport. We put 27 points on them. So, everybody in this division was given a pretty easy schedule this year. You guys got the hardest of them, but even as it was set up to be the quote unquote hardest with a first place schedule, you guys had the 20th hardest schedule by true strength of schedule walking into the season. And we'll see where it all lands with that when it's all said and done. But that was some of the Niners were going to benefit. That was some of the Cardinals. You can only play your schedule. And I think we've taken care of business, but I think there's been quality opponents there too. It hasn't been just like it was for the Patriots in a lot of this year, where what they're playing the sixth easiest all-time schedule through a lot of this season. And now, they're coming back down to earth. I think that's where we have not been dressed up as that. In regards to Phillip, like you're right about that. I definitely thought it was going to be an easier win, but it wasn't going to surprise me if it got tighter. The way that he plays and the way that he's not going to shy away, connection with Sykin that he brought out. And I mean, Jesse's out there right now thinking that Niners are just going to take Rivers down, no problem, at home in Indianapolis. Your team knows how strong they play at home in Indy. And I'm going to tell you, man, that's a hard offense to deal with because you got all of the tape from the Colts throughout the year, and then they're going to bring out all of the Phillip Rivers, San Diego Chargers stuff that him and Sykin had together, and then you get this like mixture salad between the two that you don't know exactly what you're going to get one to the other. And then you have Taylor in the running game working in between all of it. Wouldn't surprise me this week. The Niners actually end up getting surprised out there on the road against a really desperate Colts team.
I picked the Colts.
I
picked the Colts.
I would have loved to seen Jesse's fate when you said that. If you had said that last night, man, he would have been spinning in circles.
Because I saw Jesse's, all these injuries and Ryman not. I don't care. Desperate teams are dangerous. Playing at Lucas Oil is, ask the Broncos, right? Playing in Lucas Oil isn't easy. And I think Steichen might be coaching for his job. I mean, you blow a huge lead in the division like that, you could get fired. And so Phillip Rivers is playing for his career at this point. Like he just totally put it all on the back burner. I give him a lot of props. He could have just been like, yeah, just take me off the practice squad and play me 3 games, and then we'll figure it out week 18 if we have a shot. He just said, you know what, screw the candidacy for the Hall of Fame. He takes himself completely out of the semifinalist running, and now he's back. And I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back next year, to be honest with you, now that he's already done that. Because he's one of those wild men where he gets a taste of football again. And he's like, ooh, I don't know.
They're gonna need a fix there for Daniel for halfway in the year. The Achilles is gonna take him into probably like at least October, where they're gonna need somebody starting games for him. To your point, so
no, I think the 49ers lose the game though. I do. I think Monday night, Lucas Oil. I think, and another thing, Jonathan Taylor isn't just getting stopped just because he's getting stopped. He got stopped because, Seattle's that good against the run. The 49ers aren't that good against the run. Also, they generate no pressure at all.
Zero.
So it's like, now what if Phillip Rivers doesn't have to focus so much on the quick passing, and now he can go down the field a little bit? Now it gets interesting. Yeah, I know he's got the ugliest shot put throw you've ever seen, but it's got always some been weapons. That way. Yeah, exactly.
Everybody, Z-Bot was mentioned, Z-Bot, you never seen it. He was mentioned last night. I'm like, Z-Bot, you've never watched Phillip throw the ball? It's always been this way. It is the worst throwing motion in NFL history. It's by far. And I'll tell you your point. He missed a couple throws just barely on those deeper throws in this game. There was a couple throws there. I was like, dude, because with Phil, it's the ball placement, putting it in just that right little spot. And he had a couple throws in this game where I'm like, man, that was a really good throw. That placement down the field there. There ain't velocity, but he'll put it in the place that he needs to put it.
No, there's no velocity to speak of. But I think to your point, I'm riding the Colts this week. They, almost won on the road, tough environment, best defense in football, arguably. And then you're going up against a 49ers team that I still not sold on Brock Purdy. And that Colts defense was getting after Darnold. So say what you will, but I think the Colts beat the 49ers, Brando.
Let's go. I certainly would like to see it, my man. I
think you and I both. I think we deserve it after this
I
week.
do too.
We both have to put our lives on the line, and the 49ers get to sit there like, we're playing the Colts with a 44-year-old quarterback. And it's just
EZW on Monday Night Football.
Yeah. Not only do you guys have to play in a short week, we get an extra day to prepare. Screw you.
Yeah. Screw you. Losing Indy.
Yeah. And then the Cardinals, who
just
cares?
As the Niner fans starting to get their hopes up, just as they're like, well, maybe.
Doesn't it just feel perfect, though? It feels too obvious. The 49ers are due for a letdown. They also, who have they really played? You want to talk about who have they really played?
Oh, yeah.
49ers. Recently, I'm talking. Because I hear Brock Purdy is this and EPA. It's congrats. Who has he played? I also kind of hate EPA, Brando. I'm sorry. I think it's way too biased towards running quarterbacks. And I just think what we have to do a better job of, and this is actually what's happening currently with the Josh Allen versus Matthew Stafford debate, which just came out of thin air because it was Drake May the whole season and now it's Josh Allen. We have to do a better job of is understanding that the running quarterback matters. It does help. It is an additive. But what's so funny is when they throw those touchdowns, those rushing touchdowns, and they throw the rushing yards, they never throw in the fumbles, right? They never throw in the fumbles. And then they throw in the interceptions. Well, only the passer is getting really dinged at that point because the guy who's running all the time, if he has 10 or 11 fumbles, look at how many times Lamar Jackson fumbled the years he won the MVP. Not saying that he's not the MVP because of it, but if you're going to have it that way, well, you have to have it the other way as well. Because you can't just, then at that point, if Stafford, he has 37 touchdowns, he's 5 picks, but now Josh Allen, we're doing the whole, total touchdowns. Josh Allen has 37 touchdowns, and, he's 12 of them are rushing, and he only has 10 interceptions, and he has 14 other touchdowns rushing. And it's just and then they don't show the fumbles, so I don't love it. Also, running isn't necessarily, it's not a need to play quarterback. And I feel like that's the danger that we're getting into, where mobile quarterbacks are nice and all, but now it feels like it's becoming like part of the game. Like you have to be able to run, otherwise you're going to get buried. Because otherwise, Brandon, if this was Patrick Mahomes and he had 37 touchdowns and 5 interceptions and was leading 11-3 football team, do you think for a second people are constantly trying to find who is on the same level as him and all of a sudden trying to make every argument in the book? I don't really think so. I think it would just be a runaway Patrick Mahomes season. Just like if Josh Allen had 37 touchdowns and 5 picks and didn't have a rushing touchdown. People would be like, well, Josh Allen, he's doing incredible things. You asked him to be a pocket passer. Well, now he is. And it's just like that kind of irks me. And the reason why that came out is because the whole EPA thing, I just think is way overly biased towards running quarterbacks and guys that, just use their legs, and Brock Purdy does that. And I'm sorry, if you have a metric where Brock Purdy is leading the way, it's a flawed metric, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not a guy that would say, I always like it when I don't like it whenever we're looking at any stat. Here's a PFF score, here's a quarterback rating, here's EPA. I think none of these should ever be used in itself as some sort of end-all be-all stat to determine performance of any position. I think you use all of the data, and I think that there's a drive at times in the NFL from fans and even for pundits at times to just glom onto a piece of data or ignore all this data, or I don't want to take into all that stuff into account. That's hard to do. It's hard to balance and measure this and measure that and then think about that and put it all together. So much simpler and easier just to go to this one quick silver bullet thing that tells me the true story. Bam, I'm done. I don't have to think about it anymore. And I think fans are better served the more that they can put on their platter as far as in consideration. Quarterback rating, PFF, yes, a little bit of EPA. Look at some of the old line baseline stats, touchdown to interception ratio and completion percentage and average yards per attempt. How have they played within the games too, obviously, and what they've carried there. I feel like with Josh, even beyond the APA, what's helping him, and I'm not taking away from Stafford still being, to me, the forefront runner here, by the way. I think what's probably pushing him, whether it's fair or not, comes from the fact of supporting cast. And that there's the sort of the feeling out there that he somehow has to kind of do it himself, whereas Stafford has, McDermott's not looked at as greatly as a head coach, whereas McVay, and you've got your Puka and your Devontae, and you got a good offensive line, you got a good running game, you got a strong defense on the other side of it. Again, this doesn't move the needle for me on it because I watched Stafford play, and I watched Josh Allen play, and he's great too. Don't get me wrong, they're neck and neck, but I think Stafford has had maybe the best year of his entire career of playing almost freaking 20 years. And he's put some years up. So kind of is what it is with that.
Yeah, no, it does. It is funny though, with the whole, like, Josh Allen has a great defense and Josh Allen has James Cook. And it's like, that just goes by the wayside just to.
He's got a great defense.
Yeah. Lately.
Oh, well, lately they've definitely had some problems this year, though, at times.
Oh, yeah, they were horrendous earlier in the year. Now they're down to 23.1 points per game. That thing was horrendous. Now they're playing very well.
I don't know about playing. They gave 31 points up to Patriots. They gave 34 points up to the Bengals. They gave 32 points up to the Buccaneers. I mean, it's all right. It's an all right, maybe, D, but it's
they're
definitely
not like the Rams and the Seahawks, but
right. I mean, it's definitely been one that's been, maybe it's getting a little bit better now a bit, but I don't know if that's a defense they can lean on in the playoffs. Let's put it that way. I don't know if that's one that I'm going to count on isn't going to end up with the Buffalo Bills in a game where it's like 30 to 27. And I don't think that that's going to be the case either, a Rams or Seahawks in a playoff game when you reach that.
Oh, I don't think anybody in the AFC stands a chance against these two teams. But if there was one team that I think I would pick right now to play them in the big game, it would be the Bills. Which is funny game because this is probably the worst Bills team in Josh Allen's career.
True. Yeah.
Well, every year of Josh Allen's career except for his rookie year.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's some ugly matchups coming out of the AFC. I mean, Texans, that defense, okay, but it's kind of ugly. Broncos, ugh. I can't even take the Steelers really seriously as far as a playoff contender goes. So, Bills probably going to do it this year, man.
Interesting all of a sudden.
Yeah, they're kind of interesting a little bit. I could see the Bills getting it done to your point though this year. This feels like, even though it's not the strongest year because the AFC's been weakened out, it's like giving them the pathway to finally be able. They don't have the Mahomes anymore. They don't have the Lamar anymore to go through. It's like it just.
And I
feels
don't want to
easier.
just like rule out the Patriots. I mean, just because of one loss, but at the same time, it's like who you play matters, and it's like they have a really. I've never seen like below 400 strength of schedule this late in the year, and you have the top two teams in the AFC are dealing with that. They're not battle tested. The strength of victory for the Broncos is 351. The strength of victory for the Patriots is 344. Okay. Then you look at the Rams, they're at 513. They're the only team in the entire league, by the way, that they have the highest strength of victory aside from the New York Giants, who just so happen to have a 679 because the two teams they beat are really good.
Jeez. How about the Giants, huh? Dable's over there like, give me back my job. Give me back my job.
Right? I mean, hey,
did you see that? Did you see the
Eagles?
Kafka? Did you see the Kafka presser, or not the presser, but when he's talking to the players? Oh my God. He's already got a face that you're like, just no. I'm sorry, just no with him on that. He cannot be a coach. Just no. He can be an assistant. He can be a coordinator.
Is he their interim?
Yeah.
Is that why they don't look as good? Because honestly, the Giants are way too talented to be 2-12.
We were talking to this guy a couple of years ago, and I was so worried when I saw that face. I was like, do not hire this man. I don't need to know anything about him. Call me what you will. I'm sorry. That's not a face that's going to be a Super Bowl champion at any point in time. It's just a reality. I don't care. You can call me bigot, call me whatever you will. I know there's probably some word for that.
Too ugly to be a coach.
It's just that's a face that makes children scream when it looks at it. I mean,
oh my God, Brandon.
Look, I'm sorry. The guy's just got, and then the personality in addition to where he's dropping an F-bomb every other 2 words, and he's got obviously zero charisma to go on top of it. And I go, okay, why are we interviewing? I just go, why were we interviewing this guy? We thought about this guy as like a potential, like we're like head coach. He was in the Mike McDonald, like he was in the mix of the Mike McDonald stuff in there.
I liked the Vikings guy, offensive coordinator, Udinsky.
That's the young prodigy guy they all say is going to be the next new hotness in that way. So.
He's in Jacksonville right now. He's their offensive coordinator.
Oh, did he go to Jacksonville? I didn't know he did the OC over there. Okay, yeah, he's a guy with a lot of acclaim behind his name as a real riser right now.
Yeah, no, he's a good one. I mean, like I've said already, the Rams have plenty out there. Seattle has, I mean, Kubiak's gone, right?
Probably at this point. I mean, well, it depends on how if he finishes kind of where the offense is sort of stifled through the end of the year a little bit, that might make a difference. But I think there's just going to be too many jobs available, and there's not going to be enough coordinators out there. And the jobs he's done, he hasn't necessarily worked in a lot of years as OC, but everywhere he's worked, he's done a great job. And, you know, you have 3 stops that you're successful in. You have New Orleans Saints where you're successful in. I kind of think it's going to drive it, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, a big thing, I think, is the recency bias really cuts into the coaching. And, like, if the 49ers keep doing their thing, Robert Saleh is probably the number 1 head coaching candidate. He was
100%.
already basically told he'd be the head coach next year for the Raiders if he just accepted the deal with Pete Carroll. Mike McCarthy's still out there. He'll probably get some looks, right? Cliff Kingsbury, he's going to get looks, even though it's been a down year. People are going to still focus on, well, see, people might be out on him, but look at what they did, the NFC title game, you know, with a rookie. Joe Brady with the Bills, he's going to be an option. Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator for the Chargers, I think is another guy. But there are guys all over the place. Flores might get another opportunity. Anarumo with the Colts might. So there's a lot of guys. I think Kubiak, to be honest with you, I actually thought about this when I was in LA. You know who I would hire if I was the Cardinals? I want a culture builder. I would hire Marcus Freeman from the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. That's who I would hire. The connections he has, the program, you know, he's coming from a big time program, but he's a culture guy. And that team, like, I hate college football, so I'm not going to pretend that like I watch every game, but I've only heard amazing things about Freeman and just the way he carries himself. And I've also seen those pressers. If I was an Arizona Cardinals fan, I would hire him in a split second.
I would say I'd be a little bit on the other end if I'm a Cardinal as far as looking for the coach, and that I'd want to go find less of an untested guy at the pro level and find a more tested certain floor in what I'm bringing in, less of a guy that's got to kind of figure out the, get through his ups and downs a little bit, like we kind of saw with Gannon and trying to find, learn his first stop. But I mean, I don't know which way they're going to go. I don't have a good feel for it, and they're going to move on for Gannon though. That part's for sure, right? At this point, Gannon's not keeping that job, so. But that'd be outside the box, man. And he's certainly doing a great job out there in Notre Dame. They got ripped off a little bit with the whole college experience thing. So
yeah, totally agree with him not playing. By the way, it's absolutely stupid.
That makes sense.
But Davis Webb is another option. I don't know if you remember him from Cal.
Yeah, former quarterback.
He's the Broncos quarterbacks coach and passing game coordinator.
Oh, okay.
So there's a team out there like, oh, Bo Nick's having a good
year. You're gonna be doing handstands if you hear Cardinals hire Davis Webb as head coach. Don't lie, you'd be over there like, same old Cardinals, baby. 2 wins a year. Put them in the bank. Stick those suckers on layaway, baby. We'll be back around next year for those.
My prediction is they're gonna hire Chris Shula.
I can see it.
I thought Miami, but now I feel like Miami's too kind of locked in. Honestly, I don't think Arizona can go wrong if they hire one of the Rams coordinators, whether that's Mike LaFleur or Chris Shula, or they hire Marcus Freeman. Those are the 3 best options.
Yeah, I could see any of those go, especially the LaFleur and Shula options. Makes a lot of sense as a possibility there. So yeah, it just kind of adds up. Kawhi, thank you for the fiver. Says Rob Havenstein was a turnstile in Week 11 against Seattle. Warren McClendon is playing like a Pro Bowler and proved it against the Lions. Expect the offense to play better. Definitely sounds like this guy's been turning on for you based on what you're saying and what you're seeing on the chat from him, and this guy's performance and what he's brought. The former 5th rounder has really developed. And boy, you can find a Pro Bowler in the 5th round with the right tackle position. That's a hell of a find, Jake.
Hey, are you really surprised at this point who's doing it? I mean,
I'm not. It's frustrating for a team that sometimes can't build an offensive line with a microscope and just like endless resource. Like, God, can we please bring, like, it still again remains this year where it's like 2 parts of this line holding things back in a major way. So it does get frustrating, especially because the only way we can seem to get good offensive linemen is if we're picking them in the first 2 days of the draft. Otherwise, there's no chance, which kind of sucks.
Yeah. Well, I'll throw this one at you. Ready? So Havenstein and Warren McClendon Jr. have played the exact amount of games. They have almost the exact amount of snaps. Havenstein's given up a sack and 22 pressures, and Warren McClendon Jr. has given up 0 sacks and 7 pressures. Like,
that's a pretty stark difference.
When Les Snead went on the McVay show on Monday, and he said he's playing as good of football as any right tackle in the league, that made me feel good because I already knew this. I just wasn't sure if they knew this because Rob Havenstein is still on IR, and they're doing the whole, he hasn't had enough time yet. I'm like, no. I love Rob, okay? He's the last remaining St. Louis. Well, not true. He's the second to last remaining St. Louis Ram. I love him. But come on. Like, it's so obvious who the better guy is at right tackle right now. And yeah. I just think the Rams can absolutely sabotage themselves if they take McClendon Jr. out of the right tackle spot. And it's not even just, I mean, it is, but it's not even just taking him out. It's putting in another guy back in. The way the offensive line works is when you finally gel, you really can't have a bunch of pieces moving all over the place. So, especially this late in the season. So, I hope they stick it out. I don't know if they will. I'm going to assume they will. Is what it is.
It's what it is. It's great that you have him as an option there versus, if Havenstein just gotten old and you didn't have anything else there to call upon, and we got to keep trotting this guy out there. So I reckon they'll probably recognize who's playing the better ball and roll with it at that point.
Yeah.
Roger Morales coming in with a $20 donation. Thank you for that, Roger. Very, very kind of you. And I'm going to let you answer this initially because I got to use the bathroom real quick, Jake. So if you can answer this, it says, "What's up, Brandon and Jake? Kind of bummed I didn't get to see you at the tailgate, Jake, but I'm glad I got to see this win. I'm glad you got to see this win in person. I know Adams being out is massive, but if any quarterback can cook with what we have at Stafford." How was the tailgate? You were out there?
Oh, it was great. I tried to go to every single tailgate I could and say hi to people. It's hard, man. You saw it. They're everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
See, it's so funny when you hear, oh, there's about 9 Rams fans on planet Earth, and then you go out there and they're like, I mean, man, I showed up at 9 a.m., way early, like the earliest I've ever shown up, and it was flooded with Rams fans.
Oh, it's legit. Their tailgates out there are absolutely legit, and it's cool that they got an area to do it. Something that pisses me off about Seattle when we built the new stadium is we didn't create a tailgate area. So it's like you got to go to the bar, and it's like that's fine, but it's so much better when you've got that mass of humanity that's all just got that energy that's kind of sizzling and getting amped up for the game. I mean, it's a whole different deal. But no, that's cool. Give me just 2 seconds if you can. I'll be right back, Jake. Okay, 1 second.
Yeah. So yeah, Roger. Bummer that I missed you. I want to point something out. And I'll also say this to Brandon when he comes back. But that penalty, or not penalty, that timeout that the Rams generated, okay, in the Lions game. That was you. That was me. That was everybody at SoFi Stadium. That was impressive. That was a loud environment. They're getting the offense. I'm telling you, they are getting this home field advantage going. That I felt like that was the loudest SoFi's ever been. I could be wrong, but man, was it loud. And you could feel like it is a legitimate rivalry. So, but yeah, Brandon, what I was just saying was, I don't know if you caught a lot of the game because I know you watch all 22, but I don't know if you caught any of the broadcasts of the game. But man, it got so loud against the Lions where they called the timeout, and that moment I was like, okay, we're a home field advantage now. How about that? We have a home field advantage. It felt really good, and it was like the loudest SoFi game that I've heard. I mean,
oh, that's awesome.
I had people texting me like, dude, I can't even hear Tom Brady talk. It's so loud. Like the announcers are getting cut out. And I was just like, man, it's about damn time. This is what we were waiting for. So, yeah, I just figured I'd throw that out.
I'll tell you what, there's a big difference too to the spirit capture there in LA from what you have vibe-wise with Rams starting to get maybe back acclimated into that city a bit first, the Chargers, and trying to make that thing happen. I maintain the Chargers are eventually going to end up back in San Diego when it's all said and done. It just doesn't. There's no juice. There's no juice for them in LA at all. There's zero.
Yeah,
zero.
It really just, they feel out of place. They're a really good football team. They deserve to be loved. I don't feel like they're loved in LA. I think they have the diehard fans in LA. They deserve credit. They go to all the games. They deserve credit. I know they exist. I still think it's better than having the Raiders out there. The reason why the Raiders aren't out there, very simply put, they bring a rough crowd. I'm not saying every Raiders fan's like this, but they bring in a very rough crowd that, simply put, Stan Kroenke didn't want anywhere near his new giant establishment. They wanted to keep it family friendly, and I totally understand. And you can go back and you can look at the Carson project and everything. We'll go look at Carson, California right now. Like, tell me you want a stadium there. I'm just saying, so they made the right decision. The Chargers were just kind of like the settling, like, okay, you guys can move there, but you got to take the Chargers and you have to let them play for $1 a year or whatever the hell it is that they're paying. And they're like, all right, fine. It is what it is. We'll take little brother.
Yeah. Well, we'll see it. We'll see if it lasts there. I do think that it's one we could see eventually getting reverted, because San Diego still, I think, would love them here, but they didn't keep those fans necessarily with them moving either. So from some respect of that, Dylan, thank Thank you for the $5 donation, Dylan. Says the Seahawks' only problem is the red zone offense. Get that fixed, and we'll be good. We've driven pretty good the past few games. We just need to finish. Indeed. You can't run the ball with consistency, and that's where we come back to on, you don't run the ball. That's where that does show up its ugly head when you do get into the red zone. And when you can run the ball, that's where you can find a lot more red zone success. It's very hard to be in there throwing the ball around. It's condensed. There's just less area. And this is just where I come from, Dylan, and thinking this has been the big issue. So run the ball better, you'll have more red zone success. And whether that's going to click in or not, I think at this point is kind of a question mark. It's kind of one of the points that I'm disappointed in this team, and that it's supposed to be a rushing offense here that gets you at least the 3 yards in a cloud of dust so you can get to those third down and makeables. Instead with us, it's much more of the boom factor of you'll have a game where you'll have Charbonnet with a 22-yard run and Walker with a 27-yard run, and then all of the rest of the other cumulative carries, you're doing that thing where you're like 14 carries with 27 yards, something like that, and it's just that's not going to do. It's not, the bottom line yard per carry might look okay, but you're not getting the consistency you need to get down there. And red zone's the same, sort of fashion. You're third and goal from the 4 and third and goal from the 3rd. Can you run it in? Like the Rams probably can. They can, hey, we running options on the table for us. No chance. It's got to be a throw. So it's got to get improved here, Dylan. I'm a little bit annoyed that it's not, because with this offense, I thought early on with the lack of rushing, it was the details of the offense. It's so much of a get your hand here, get your leverage over here. It isn't just clearing guys out of the lane and how you'd have some rushing attacks go. But yet that forward hasn't come for us, Jake. It's still just been one where still just feels very, very, very frustrating, and don't know if it's going to come forward. Might just be better pass protecting line when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest issue with the Seattle Seahawks. If you could look at, talk about the Rams, and they don't get the pass rush maybe that you would love, but still, it's not the worst, and obviously it's still top 10 in the league. It's me being nitpicky. Seattle's lack of, success in terms of touchdowns in the red zone, that just piles up. That's what kept Indy in the game. I mean, if you score on those, Indy got 1 touchdown, you knew they weren't getting another one. So it's one of those things like where if you turn, how many field goals did you kick? 6, 5, something
6.
like that. Yeah, 6. So if you turn 2 of those into touchdowns, it's not a game.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
And it's been a problem prior to this game. As to Dylan's point on this,
Yeah.
This has been an issue that also has been, beyond that on it. So, it's a true issue. It's a worrisome issue because we want to be a team that stay committed to running the football. It's putting our offense behind the chains, and we're not an offense that's built. You're an offense that can be in 3rd and 7. I was looking at some of the data. Stafford's actually pretty good on third and 7s, 3rd and longs. Like there are some conversions to be had there from his perspective. You get us into 3rd and 7, and it is a game over situation. And so I just, it's going to be the key to this, to come back to why this is the key to this game, man. It's all the cascading effect, domino effect that comes down if you can't do it. And all of that means red zone being another part of it, as Dylan, references here, that I do get mighty concerned about walking into this game a little bit and how this is sort of set up for us, because we're just still scuttling through, man, scuttling through. I will say Myers on pace to set a field goal record for most field goals made in an NFL season, Jake. Kind of a fun fact right there.
That is insane. That is absolutely insane.
Probably a part worth mentioning too on this is that special teams wise, I'm not saying necessarily you guys got a bad special teams, but us having the best special teams in the NFL is going to be a factor. From how we punt to how we kick. We've got a punt return touchdown this year. We've got a kick return touchdown this year. There's things even beyond this where Myers has done a great job as any kicker in the sport at hitting that roll kick on the kickoff where you land it past inside the 20, but now it's rolling and he can get a weird funky hop for the returners at times. In a game like this that does seem like to me it's going to come down close, it could be one of those factors that ends up carrying through a little bit in this one, how strongly we have built this unit up.
Yeah, it should be interesting. The Rams have definitely improved special teams. I remember the last time they missed a field goal, but they haven't missed one with kicker, thicker kicker. And they have one of the best punters in the league in Ethan Evans. And then their kickoff, my biggest issue, and this is what I kept saying, is that Jared Goff and the Lions just need 1 first down to get over midfield. It seemed like, because they just kept kicking out of the back of the end zone. I just don't, for the life of me, understand why you would do that. Stop kicking out of the back of the end zone. You're putting them at the 35. You could say, I don't love the rule and all that. That's fine. The rule is the rule. Okay. Now it's the 35. And it's just stupid. When you look at the Lions offense, when they start at the 35 minus when they started at, say, the 20 or 25 or whatever, completely different ball game. The 35-yard line, I think they scored on most of those drives. When they started at the 20, 25, those ended in punts. So, yeah, it's just one of those things like really irritating on that front. But that's also the problem, is that they had Josh Carty doing that, and Carty was kicking this knuckleball that was the best in the league. No one could field it. It was literally giving people so many fits, but they also said that might have contributed to his struggles, as a kicker. So it might have messed him up a little bit. So obviously they're not even going to attempt that with thicker kicker, but they also don't want to attempt it with Ethan Evans because they need him as, his punter. I mean, I don't have to tell you about how it was like the greatest punt ever, that he dropped against Seattle. So yeah, I mean, he's incredible, but yeah, I think their special teams is really good. When I look at going back to the red zone, by the way, I thought you'd be interested to know this. Seattle is almost the exact same red zone offense as they were last year. Their touchdown percentage this year is better at 57.45. Last year was 57.14. The Rams were at 51.39 last year. They're now up to 66.67. So that is the deciding factor. The last 3 games, Seattle, where are they? Well, they have been better, I believe, as of late. Oh, no, they've been worse. They're 37.50, and the Rams are 68.75. Now, on the road, the Rams do dip from a 71.43 at home to a 62.86. Again, this is touchdowns in the red zone, not field goals, so touchdown percentage. And Seattle, when they're playing at home, is a 62.50 versus a 52.17 on the road. So they're a much better home red zone touchdown team than they are a road touchdown team. I just thought I would point that out to you.
Good stats, man. And it does show us with 37%, as has not been game bad. It's like the improvement you thought you would see, and especially having all of your offensive linemen out there healthy, you just haven't seen that coming together, the cohesion effect. Yeah, has not just quite clicked into play, which has been disconcerting. I do like the 35-year-old rule, by the way. I like this, the way this changed the game. I like that it's made the kickoff back to mattering and brought strategy back into play on the kickoff, whereas before it had become automatic.
I don't hate the rule. I just wish that my team would abide by it, I guess. I don't know. P-Train.
I hadn't heard about the kickoff thing. It's like a home run derby where the guy goes in there and he messes up his swing at the home run derby, and then the whole rest of the season he can't get it back to a level stroke.
I think we saw it with Cardi, unfortunately.
That sucks. P-Train with a 5 are over on your side. Thank you for that, P-Train. I think it will come down to who wins the trenches. The Rams secondary is a bit of a concern recently.
Yeah, I mean, again, kind of like what I was saying earlier. I think it coincides with the lack of rush. PFF said that they got X amount of pressures, and I just didn't see it. 25 pressures. Jared Goff felt clean the whole game, except for a few. I was at the game. Jared Goff had all day to throw. Goff did not look nervous. I've seen Goff look nervous. I've seen Goff fizzle. That did not look the case.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And you watched the game. Did you see 25 pressures? That feels really high.
No, there were some pressures that stood out that were, legit, and that he's really under a thing. He's got to move around more than he does but he was hitting his back foot and letting it rip and having, for the most part, going through a couple different reads. So no, I did not. I didn't see that amount from the Rams in that game with it. So it's a good offensive line too. So it's hard to get back there on them. They're going to shut down a lot of teams like that. But no, didn't feel like that amount.
Yeah, I do agree. I didn't see that, but
I do agree with you, P-Train here. I think with trenches is kind of the other thing we always say at times. There's certain games I don't know if that always plays out to be true. This is one where I do think it plays out to be true, and as much because of the onus just being so heavily upon running it. I mean, even if we end up coming out in this, to your point in the second, to his point in the secondary, and we're able to find more yards in the air and not find more yards in the air because we're behind in the game. Let's say it's an even game, but we just happen to find more yards in the air. You guys find more yards in the ground. I feel like that would still end up favoring into the Rams territory of this one when it's all said and done as to who wins and loses in that scenario as a bottom line to the game. I think you got to run the ball in a game like this. These elements, this time of season, Thursday night game, just feels like it matters more than ever right now.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. Yeah, I don't want to give the secondary a pass, by the way. I do think the secondary has to be playing better, but I also thought that it coincided with the lack of pass rush up front. I thought Josh Wallace was fine. He's not Quentin Lake. I think that's something that Seattle can exploit. But I thought Darius Williams played very well, and I thought Emmanuel Forbes got hosed on that call on fourth down. Just gave the Lions an extra set of downs, first down at the 1 yard line. They punch it in. They make it a 41-34 game, but I thought it was good coverage, and it was one of the ticky-tack calls, and you get that, I think, if you're Amon-Ra St. Brown, but and I'm not, I don't like just complaining about penalties. I just don't like the really ticky-tack, like lazy, he gets barely touched, and it's like a flop, Brandon. I don't know if you saw it, but
well, I didn't. I know the player you're talking about. We just had our worst officiated game of the year. It was so bad, and it's the thing they were doing in the game where it's you're letting one side of the field play. Their corners are pulling and tugging, and pass interference ain't getting called, and no holding calls on the defensive line, and then you flip it to the other side, and you're just not seeing the equivalent called to the other side. Not saying that it's like fixed in, just it does stand out in those kind of games where you're like, I'm okay. It's back to baseball reference. I'm okay if the strike zone is going to be a little wide today. It's got to be both wide for both.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
That's got to be the key there. Matthew, thank you for the $10 donation. Matt, it says if Woolen bats down one of the two chances against the Niners, if Seattle doesn't have 6 defensive starters out against Tampa Bay, if Sam doesn't have 4 interceptions and the punt of the year, Seattle is undefeated.
Yep, we can play the if game all we want. If the Eagles didn't block 2 kicks, if the 49ers helmet punch gets called correctly, because that is unnecessary roughness by rule, and Kyron doesn't fumble at the 1 yard line, and if the Carolina game, if one of those interceptions, if Stafford's interception in the red zone, where it goes off a player's helmet, if they don't pick that off, they probably run it in the next play. So, and then they're undefeated. So,
well, the bottom line I take from that is that we know that these two teams are true and how good they are, and that it's not built on an empty record for why they get there. I think your losses almost kind of tell you, to your point on this a little bit, on how much about who you are as much as your wins are here. And that close losses, your collective losses come down to a couple of points. Kind of speaks to how good you are as a team, how good we are as a team, because we're in that same boat there.
Exactly. Not one loss. I don't think Seattle has a loss that was more than a possession.
No, it's all down to like 8 points or something like that on the 3 losses. So it's all been very, very close.
Yeah, the Rams, of course, because the Eagles had to return it back. that was the most irritating thing. It's like you already won the game, and then he ends up picking the ball and running it back. They already were up 27-26. And so they block the kick, and then he runs it all the way back for a touchdown, make it a 33-26 ball game.
To put this in perspective, folks, the plus-minus differential for the Los Angeles Rams and Seattle Seahawks right now, as far as the cumulative between them, is 325 is the plus on that. If I go the plus division in the north, in the south, it's -90. If we're at the two teams, the top 2 teams in the south, if I take the top 2 teams in the north, it's about 90. If I take the top 2 teams in the NFC East, it's 30. If I take the top 2 teams in the AFC West, that strong, mighty AFC West, it's 110. We are blowing them out of the water. Yeah, the record's one thing in this division, but the plus-minus rate as well, in addition to that, especially with us two, we can go 3 teams with Niners if you really want to throw it off the boat with it. So there's so many parameters on this. There's so many details on this that speak to how elite these teams are and how good they are. This is just one more there. There's no team that's got A first place and a second place team, you each both have over 100 plus minus differential right now in the entire sport. Nobody
The
even
South
close.
is such a joke. I can't.
Quite frankly.
It's
Oh,
ridiculous.
it is. At South, I can't take them seriously. And nobody seems to want that division. Evans comes back last week, and you're like, all right, now they're getting dangerous. Here they come. Here they come now. They're finally, Tampa Bay's getting ready. And then, like, that's the performance you put up? Like, you're going to let Carolina win that division? Really?
I think Carolina's like, well, we're going to lose to the Saints.
No, hold my beer. Yeah.
And there's still people, there's still Saints fans trying to plug in all the numbers and see if there's any way the Saints can get in.
I can't fault them for being desperate, man. It's been dark there for a little while, but you talk about the first division that's getting dog walked in the first game of the playoffs probably is whoever comes out of there. I don't care if you got a home playoff game, ain't gonna matter. I don't.
I guess is that the trade-off at that point? Like whoever the Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, whoever gets the 5 seed, they get to play that team.
Well, it's the bottom line on this is that we come back and potentially face each other a third time. I know we talked about that we can't really have it go with conference championship at this point, but we're going to come back potentially whoever it is to face the third time because to your point, not scared of Tampa Bay, not scared in the least of Carolina. Chicago feels like a little bit of smoke and mirrors a year early to me on this. The Packers, God knows what's going to go on with them with Parsons out. I mean, that's nowhere near as scary. And if they don't win the division, you might have that as you don't have to deal with them till the next round anyway. So they still have to get past their first round. And then the Eagles are the Eagles. Like they completely have regressed. It is right now there to where, I think it kind of comes down to us and the 49ers the same way. They're going to get in the playoffs, but you don't have any faith in the Niners, right? I mean, that's like, how can you think that team's going to win once they got in the playoffs and have to on the road? They just lost Parasol again, by the way. He went out again with another injury.
He's always hurt. He's always hurt. On him for anything. But no, I think it really comes down to the pass rush. And like I'm complaining about the Rams pass rush. The 49ers have 0. So it really feels like honestly, it kind of almost negates this game a little bit. Like one of these teams is still going to probably win the NFC anyway, regardless of the outcome. But, what's weird to me is I came away from that Lions game and felt like, if that team got in the playoffs, they could be a little bit of a problem because they can put up points. But they might not even make the playoffs, Brandon. That is likely an actual real possibility.
It's likely to not happen. I mean, they're almost out of it entirely right now. Like essentially the Niners have to lose twice at this point, right? You'll have 2 wild cards and then 1 extra wild card team at this point. So it's probably going to be the Packers that'll be that team. The Packers have to lose twice essentially for the Lions to have that chance in the tiebreaker there. I agree with you, by the way. That team, the way they run the ball, where Goff, if he can get hot on hitting his back foot and you can't get pressure, and you can't get pressure because they have the good offensive line and because they're running the ball and keeping you off on your heels defensively, it's a long day at the office. Their defense can't stop nothing. But I do think that offense is enough to where it could control the clock, and then the defense doesn't have to do a whole lot, and they can find a way. These other teams, you mentioned about not pass rush. Niners, no pass rush. Tampa Bay's got 0 pass rush. Who's rushing you from Carolina? Who Nick Scorton we're worried about? Derek Brown on the inside. I mean, Eagles had to bring Captain Fantastic off of his couch, Brandon Graham. They had to go make a desperate trade for Jalen Phillips because they don't trust their pass rush. Like nobody's got to go into the playoffs right now, and our team's got to do. I mean, even yours with maybe not quite as strong as last year, still head and shoulders above rest a lot of this NFC. I mean, maybe Chicago's got a decent pass rush. They got a little bit of a decent pass rush. Yeah, they're actually sneaky's a good way to put it. They're at least solid there.
Montez Sweat, you forget that he's been with Chicago for a while since the trade, and former Kansas Jayhawk Austin Booker. He's
nice. I like Austin. I liked him coming out.
I liked him too, man. But the way it is with Jayhawks, doesn't matter how good they are, they always fall. I don't know why, but Devin Neal, one of the most reliable running backs in the draft. Yeah, he's going to fall to the 6th round or whatever. It's ridiculous. This anti-KU stuff. Get out of here. But
hey, we got that other lineman at one point. We got your Logan Brown and we got Cable Dew at one point on our roster here this season.
Are they both still on the roster? Or
Brown's getting bounced around a bit, but they like Cable Dew. I think long term as at left guard.
Oh wow, that's wild.
Or as a guard, just period. I think they feel like he's got a little something there. I'm not saying I do, but
that dude got memed to all hell. Cable Dew.
Yeah,
because that name,
Oh yeah. 100%. Matthew with a $10 donation on your side. Thank you for that, Matthew. Stafford for MVP. Damn it. What's up, guys? I'm pouring concrete and watching you guys. Go Rams. Hell yeah. I always love the thought people working, listening to the podcast in the background. So I've always done it in my past. It's just, there's something kind of romanticized about that for me when folks are doing some work and putting and listening to us in the background. But I think you're finding two guys here. They're going to tend to agree with you on that one, Matthew. I would give the nod to Stafford, the type of season he's had. And yeah, he's got help, but you can't just throw help and as an end all be all on it. And watching the games and the throws he makes that guys in the sport really by and large can't make. It does stand out to you that you got to give the guy the flowers when he's performing that well. I mean, the career he's had to throw it on there once again.
Agreed.
PGZ.
Thanks, man.
PGZ. Thank you. Appreciate you, Matthew. Sorry, do you have something to say on that, by the way? To undercut you there.
No. You're good. I agree with everything you said. So.
Yeah, what's he at right now? Stafford. I want to take a quick peek here if I could. So you got him at he's going to throw. Let's see what he's on pace. Where's his pace at here? Projected 4,500 yards, 45 touchdowns, 6 interception, 112 rating. Yeah, almost an 8-yard attempt. I mean, yeah. And the thing with the whole thing on Allen too, I'll say, that's got to be taken into account on this whole thing with the Josh Allen thing. They've had a lot of games that they've been behind in a lot where they have to throw. It's kind of been Josh Padford. You know what I mean? It's Josh Padford just a little bit this year, Allen, a little bit on that with the statistical playing.
It is funny you say that because I keep seeing, well, it's not like Matthew Stafford's had to come back down from 21. It's like at some point or another, you have to take responsibility for that. Like Matthew Stafford doesn't have to come back down to 21 because he's never in that position, because he never puts them in that position. That's part of why his ability to take care of the football the way he has been so key and critical to what this team is able to do. And I just don't think people realize that. Like Josh Allen, he's done a much better job this year with the fumbles, but he still has fumbled 5 times. He's thrown 10 picks. He's lost 2 of them. I mean, you think about that, that's 12 turnovers. And Matthew Stafford, how many turnovers? He has 6. There you go. So,
yeah, that's good. And he still put up those stats while being up in some of these games up ahead and creating those leads in a lot of these games. He has still put up elite statistical production.
And if we're going to play really galaxy brain arguments here, well, I would also say Stafford does all this and he doesn't have the athleticism of Josh Allen. It makes it harder on him. So, I mean, hey, we're doing that. We can play this game all day.
Coin flips both ways. It goes both ways.
Crazy.
PGZ, thank you for the $2 donation. Says, B-Dog, salute. Salute to you too, sir. Jake, you was prettier yesterday. Laughing out loud. Indeed.
I have no rebuttal.
Prettier there on that one. Thank you, PGZ. And she did a great job, by the way. Give her a shout out if you get a chance. She came in there, into that dog kennel and was able to be okay. You know what I mean? So
hey,
she did great.
We've done close to 500 episodes together on Downtown Rams. So I knew she'd be a good fit. I knew it.
Yeah, she did good. Alex Marin, thank you for the $2 don't know. He says, McClendon's cool, but have you seen Anthony Bradford? Oof. Yeah, he's definitely become a literal national meme here, which has been kind of wild to watch your right guard turning into a national meme by just people randomly watching him on Twitter. Just unbelievably, this is the rep he puts out there. It's like, yep, he puts those reps out there.
It makes me feel bad for him, man. Like as bad as he looks, there have been worse. I don't know why he's getting picked aside.
To your point, though, that's the problem with it. Like, he actually has really good reps. It's just that when it's bad, it is like he has forgotten how to play football in a given play. And he just sort of is standing there looking at things, and he's known for having his back constantly to the offensive line, looking back at the quarterback post plays. Like that's part of the meme with it. And he's not good. I'm not saying he's good, but he's got dominant reps in there. He gets some pancakes over the course of the game. Like he's got big, heavy, bear, grizzly paws that he can put on you, but just when it goes wrong, it is going sideways down the middle of the freeway, and you're about to go off the embankment with him. It's brutal. And poor Sam, sometimes I think he kind of automatically like the quick win happens, and you can kind of feel Sam like, okay, we gotta make a quick adjustment here, quick decision.
I mean, Terrence Steele's making how much money? He's giving up 43 pressures, 6 sacks.
Oh geez. Yeah,
I mean, Bradford's giving up what, 21?
Yeah, but it's just that he'll get rolled on his butt. It'll be this like he just completely just gets. It's like, and I do feel bad though. This
is why the TikTok, football film watching community. There's so much funny in that whole thing that I just said, because the whole point of film is that you're not relegating it to just 5-10 second clips. You're actually going through and doing the work. But it cracks me up because you'll get people saying that, and it's just like, I'm not saying Anthony Bradford's great, but the poor guy is a national meme, and he's nowhere near the worst guard in the league.
No, he's not. It's just that's the other thing. TikTok gets a bone on it, and they're
every time
they're gonna chew on that thing. They're gonna just keep on chewing.
Jonah Savalenia. I don't even know how to say his name.
Jonah Savalenia.
Yeah, he's given up 38 pressures at the same position, 6 sacks.
Did you see the soundbite with him talking to like he was talking to some defensive player, and the guy was so kind to him. Cam Hayward, God bless him, was like, Jonah's like, what do I got to do, bro? Like, what do I need to be doing? And he's like, you're great. You're a bit like, yeah, sure. I bet you after you just whooped his ass on a sack. Yeah, I bet you believe that. Oh my God. Come on.
Now that's even funnier. I gotta see.
He tells him he's got all the ability in the world. He tells him that you got all the ability in the world, man. Like, and God bless you for saying it, Cam, but you're lying. You're lying.
Cam had 4 pressures, and I bet you all of them were on that dude's name. What did he give up?
Jonah Savalenia.
Oh my God. He didn't even. Oh, wait, hold on. He gave up 5. He gave up 5 pressures in that game. Patrick Paul gave up 6.
He's been the lowest rated guard in the sport for a lot of the year as Jonah Savalenia. He's had I think he has for a lot of the year, he had like a single digit pass protection grade at some point.
I just feel bad for guys like that. That's out there. Everyone can see that.
It is. Well, the tough part for him is that those guys, we give these quarterbacks time. We give certain guys time when they change positions. And like this guy was a right tackle in college, and now you're bouncing him to right guard. And like, we just think these guys got to like not miss a beat and bounce right in there, and it's no problem. It's like, man, it's a transition. I mean, Jonah might be okay long term, but it was going to be rough, especially that Miami team with Tua back there.
Well, now he's playing left guard because Cole Strange is playing right guard.
Which he's not really a left guard. He's really a big-bodied right guard that should have been moved from right tackle because he was the big right tackle power guy over there that you're not moving to the left. So it's like they're not setting him up for success with that is kind of my point with it too. And I think that's a hard road to kind of make those guys go down like that, like they've done with him there.
What was Roger it that Taylor Lewan said? It's like pissing with the opposite hand.
Yeah. And you've seen, I'm sure, with plenty of your fans, it'll go, this guy is a left guard. We'll go to right guard, and right guard will just go to left guard. And it's like, these are different positions. I mean, tackle and left tackle are different positions. And it's, yes, there has been some it used to be wildly different. Like the left tackle used to be fully dancing bears. I go back to the Orlando Pace days, for instance, and I go look at the right tackle for the Rams. I go back to the Walter Jones days and I look at our right tackle at the same time. It's like, you'll probably have some big power guy there to the right tackle side that's just known for being a brute, that just there at the point of attack, strong side to lay down the law when it comes to running game. So it's a little bit not as much as what it used to be as far as that difference goes between the tides, but it's not just as easy as just flip from one side to the other, no problem.
Yeah, no, it's... I mean, kind of the funny thing was like Rob Havenstein's perfect for the right tackle job, like the old school right tackle. He's an old school right tackle, but McClendon Jr. kind of represents what today's day and age is. I mean, you need kind of more athleticism. That's what they crave. So yeah, no, I hear you there. And Roger coming in with the 20.
Let's go, Roger. Very kind of double. That's the double 20. Dropped another 20 earlier. This one's over on your side.
Appreciate
I sat next to Angel, Pink Survivor on Twitter, and my screaming and whistling made the Lions fans around us get earplugs.
That's hilarious.
I think she even uploaded a picture of it.
I saw
my
that.
voice is still shot.
So I'm really bummed I missed you. I was hanging out over by their tailgate for the end, towards the end. So yeah, Angel, I got a picture with her, and I was hanging out with her, and they had fantastic fall off the bone ribs. Fantastic. Like the most tender ribs with like the perfect, they were just unbelievable. So shout out to Rams Republic there. But yeah, man, I'm bummed I missed Roger. Roger was at our event.
Well, it's well done on his part, man, because I think that there are times fans get in these stadiums now, and I've seen it in our stadium and us losing a little bit of our home field advantage through the years, where it's like the newest generation of fans sometimes doesn't seem to understand like what their responsibility is walking that stadium at times. It's like your home stadium, third down, you got to be up on your feet screaming, and there's too many people stuffing their mouth or just they don't even look. You look at them, they don't look like they're enjoying the game. They're just.
Or the guys in my section, they were freaking out because like the Rams would be on offense and people were like, MVP, MVP. It's like, no, stop talking. Like literally don't. Quiet, the offense is at work. No, it was so funny.
Like they haven't gotten the memo this generation at times, because it's like we all knew from prior generations, and we're running into it right now where it's just like, they just like, I don't want to yell. I don't want to do that.
At least it wasn't
like,
the wave.
Yeah. Well, the wave is cool, but like the yelling is such, like, this is the biggest home field advantage that we had in sports for a long period of time having this. And it's been a little bit lost, and really lost on the back of it becoming more of it. This is an NFL problem with corporatism and tickets getting sold and all that other stuff. But it does suck because feels like something's a little bit lost there. It is cool that you guys, Roger, it sounds like, are maybe capturing a bit of that spirit in the LA stadium though. Because I think that's one where you got a job to do as a fan coming in your stadium. You can tangibly change the complexion of the game if you can just collectively all be in it in that way. If only half of you are there, if only 60% of you are there, it's not going to have the same kind of effect as if you got 100% of the voices raining down upon the opposition.
Yeah, and that's what I saw when I was out there, on a level that I didn't see against the 49ers. I felt like that was a legit home game. I thought that was 70-30 against the Lions. The Niners, it felt like a 50-50, and maybe even they had the advantage. You were there.
Yeah.
You couldn't really tell what was going on. Like if you missed a play, say you look down to just take a swig of water or something, you look up, you didn't know who just made a positive play. The way it was cheering, you'd think, oh, that the Rams had something good happen. No, it's the 49ers. So yeah, this was different. This was fun to watch, and yeah, we'll see if it continues. I believe it will, because I don't think there's anybody on the schedule the rest of the year that there's one home game against the Cardinals, and if you get in, Seattle's not going to beat you in home field advantage if they have to come play in LA. The only one you'd really have to worry about, the 49ers, the Eagles, that's it. Like no one else is coming and causing, an issue. So yeah.
Maybe starting to bring it back a little bit, man. Starting to take that back into control. Martin Lawrence, thanks for the $5 donation. Is it me, or is this a strange season that has a lot of really good competitive teams, but no standout Super Bowl favorite? And I include the Rams in that.
I think that's just you from my perspective, because I think it's a season where I don't see a lot of really good competitive teams. I think we just so happen to see two of the best teams in terms of, PFF grade, DVOA. The Rams and Seahawks are so much better than everyone else, in my opinion. It just feels like a different league. They're just in a whole different league. I think it is a weaker, and I've said this, I think it's a weaker NFL, and I hope that's not, taken out of context and used against the Rams and the Seahawks, if they go and win the Super Bowl, because I think this is, I'll go as far as to say these two teams are teams that could have gone up against the Peyton Manning Broncos, could have gone up against the Tom Brady, Randy Moss Patriots. Like, I really believe this is one of the historical teams that we're talking about for both sides, and I've said that to you. And so the rest of the league, though, I don't really feel like is that good. I think You have everybody has question marks, right? But the question marks with the Rams and Seahawks is a little nitpicky. When you're talking about the question marks with the Broncos, you're talking about the fact that they have only played a strength of schedule below 400. You're talking about the Patriots have only played a strength of schedule below 400. By the way, both of which have strength of victories in the 350 range. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they have losses to both of these teams. So how good is Jacksonville? Maybe Jacksonville is like legit, but they just got embarrassed by the two best teams in the sport. Maybe they're the best team in the AFC. Who knows? The Steelers, you and I have gone on record. We don't trust them. The Chargers, they don't have either of their starting tackles. They're not going all the way. Then you have the Buffalo Bills. I don't know what to make of them. I think this is the worst Bills team that we've seen in quite some time, and yet I feel like this is probably the team that has the best chance of going to the Super Bowl. I don't think they have a chance in hell of beating these teams. But then you have Houston Texans, and the Texans have a Super Bowl defense, and if C.J. Stroud plays decent football, that's a defense that can keep you in the game, and C.J. Stroud can win you a game if he goes back to his old ways, but he hasn't shown that consistently this year. So there's a lot of kind of question marks. The Colts are the 8th seed. Do you trust Phillip Rivers in the playoffs? I love Phillip Rivers. I think it's a great story. He's not beating either of these teams in the playoffs. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson looks horrendous this year. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. He looks really bad. They're 7-7. So there's not a single team in the AFC. Then in the NFC, the Bears just feels like, and you said this best, they have a 403 strength of schedule. They were hovering below 400 the whole year. Feels like they're just a year too early. Like the really impressive stuff, year too early. The Eagles, you never rule out the Eagles. They just can exist and they can be a problem. But the big thing about the Eagles is that you have to go play them at home. If they secured home field advantage with the way their team is playing, it wouldn't matter to me because now you have to go play there. That's tough in and of itself. The Eagles on the road, I'm not really worried about them in the playoffs. I think they get stomped by Seattle or the Rams, regardless. Then you have Tampa. I mean, we keep talking about how Tampa's going to just go on this magical run when they get all these guys back, and now Mike Evans is back, and oh, you look, this guy's back, and that guy's back, and they look like they're going backwards. So not a team I'm worried about. Then you have the 49ers. We've talked about it. 49ers deserve a lot of credit for being in this position, all the injuries. But that said, nice story and all, but they don't have a pass rush. Brock Purdy is doing some good things against some bad teams. What's going to happen when he has to go up against Seattle, go up against the Rams? Well, we're going to find out week 18 against Seattle. Then you have the Green Bay Packers. They're without Micah Parsons. I started to feel like that pass rush was going downhill and Parsons was kind of carrying them, if you will. There were a few games where it felt like he had to really carry them. Him being down now, I think they're going to get slaughtered against Caleb Williams and the Bears, by the way. And then the Lions and Panthers and Dallas Cowboys are the teams on the outside looking in. The Lions, if they made it, that offense is very strong. That defense is horrendous through the air, and you can run on them. Carolina, if you don't play at home, Carolina, you don't win. That's going to be a problem when you're going to probably only have one playoff game. We'll be at home. You're the 4 seed. If you make it through that by the graces of God against the Rams or the Seahawks, then you have to play the other one. Don't like your chances in that one. And Dallas is just, they love being fool's gold. They looked like a team. I remember, I forget who came out and said it. Was it Chase Daniel? Someone was like, yeah, the Cowboys might be the best team in the league. And I'm like, the hell are we talking about? And that lasted all but, 3 days. So yeah. My point is when you look at all these teams, realistically, who can actually win a Super Bowl? I don't think a single team in the AFC can except for the Bills, and that's because of Josh Allen. And I think in the NFC, it's the Rams, it's the Seahawks, and the Eagles. And the Eagles, it's just the idea that they came on at the right time at the end of the year. Am I worried about them? No. But they're still, you got to knock down the champion. You got to eliminate them. And they're still standing. So you got to give them their due there. So those are my thoughts. Rams, Seahawks, Eagles, Bills are the only teams I think right now that can theoretically win a Super Bowl. And that might seem really close-minded, might be too harsh on the Broncos. Well, to that I say play a stronger strength of schedule. I mean, I understand that you play what you play, but at the same time, I'm going to give credit where credit's due to the other teams that are playing a stronger strength of schedule and make the Seahawks haven't had the strongest schedule, but even as much crap as they've gotten, they still are playing a 459. I mean, we're talking about two teams at the top of the AFC that don't even have a 400 strength of schedule. That is absolutely insane to me, Brandon. Insane.
Well, and the Broncos have struggled in a lot of those games to that lesser schedule as well. So it's also been where it's not like they're dominating those teams that you might look for another signpost for how good that team is or isn't. I think, Martin, I do tend to agree with pretty much everything Jake said on that. I don't know if there is the Super Bowl favorite, but I think the better way, as Jake maybe put it, is that there's the 4 teams that feel like they're true Super Bowl contenders at this point. And has there been the tried and true team that's 15-1 or something like that? Maybe not that exactly, but I think everything you said, I can't really add much more on top of it. It's where I stand with it, where it's like a lot of teams I just don't have faith in. I think that this is a bit of a weaker year NFL wise. As far as the top end teams go, a lot of question marks across the board that Jake elucidated there. And I think this is going to set the stage and make this much more of a pathway that's open up for us to go take it here once we get to playoff time, because those warts, those problems in your team show up in major ways at that time, especially when you have a collective of them. I do think you're right about Eagles being tested and still a little bit, they'll get in there. They've got that brand of football that can work in the postseason, but you just can't turn on like a light switch, man. It's a process to get in there. It's a process to getting yourself matured to that place you're trying to get to team-wise. And we feel like two teams that are really getting to that place of maturing it, and McVay doing such a good job as he's done through the years of setting the team up to be playing its strongest football at the end of the year, how he manages injuries, how he sets up training camp. I think he's got a really quiet mastery of that doesn't get talked about a lot, and what's helped you guys out the last couple of years. So it's going to be fun, man. This thing down the stretch is just so much intrigue.
Oh,
John, thank you for the $5 donation. Says Jake and Brandon, Talking Hawk. Sorry, you're famous for that. Ram football feels like it's an NFL Christmas. Perfect tonic for these times. Thank you. Oh, well, appreciate that, John. And I love the fact that this game stands up here. We talked about last time how much we were just getting to get to celebrate this. Just we got two of the best teams in the sport. It's great. Play this time of year. This is what this is all about. It's on the line right during Christmas. I mean, just you can't write a better script, can you, Jake?
You can't. It's so funny to me because it's like, get the hell out of the way. The real teams are playing on Thursday.
Mommy and daddy are home.
Yeah. They really should just put everybody on Thursday, and they should have just had the Rams and Seahawks play an exclusive Sunday game.
Real talk.
Yeah.
Thank you though, John. Appreciate you, man.
Yes.
It's Ram fans, Seahawks, we're just all looking for it. Everybody's like, man, we don't know what's going to happen. We're just going to be popcorn ready and all eyes of the nation watching us. Everybody checking us out, players included. They're going to be watching it. Jeffrey Thistle, thank you for 43 months as a Hawks Nest member. Thank you for that long time support. I've decided if we can't beat the Rams after long deliberation, Jake can have Sam Darnold. However, we're going to kick your team's butt.
I don't want to pay Sam Darnold and Stafford at the same time, though. So I'm going to have to decline.
High quality level backup there, buddy. High quality level backup, though. And I love the confidence. Jeffrey's not always been confident in Sam. Now he's confident in his team. So him showing some confidence here. I love to see that from you, Jeffrey, and that you're feeling good about this. We need all of the confidence we can get going into this matchup, man. Every last bit of it. Henry Diesel, thank you for the $10 donation, Henry. He says, what can you tell us about Kitchens, Jake? He always gets us.
He's an easy prediction. If you're looking for an interception prediction, it's always going to be Kitchens. I don't know why he does not like you guys. I don't know.
Well, it's happened on the same play with both Geno and Darnold, too. It's them rolling to the left, late on the play, back across their body to the middle of the field. So if our quarterbacks can just not commit the cardinal sin to playing the position, maybe perhaps we cannot give Kitchens another interception.
Oh, man. Well, it'd be like that. But hey, he's a baller, and he's become such a good player this year. Not just the ball hawking ability, which honestly he hasn't had much of aside from that game. I think that was his first interception of the year. But aside from that game, I mean, you see him, he's a heat-seeking missile, but he's a formed tackler. And you love to see guys like that. At least I do. I don't like Kirby Josephs of the world. I don't. I don't. You already know, Brandon. I had a huge rant about it on our show. I hate that tackling because that's not tackling. Just like heat-seeking missile at a guy's ACL is not tackling to me.
Yeah. No, I totally get it on that. And with Kitchens, he was a guy when he came out, I liked his tape a lot. And I knew that it wasn't quite to the flashy stage of things. I try to say this at times because we always go to the comp, and comps can sometimes become overstated or not quite fit. And I like to say shades of, rather than getting onto a full comp with the guy, but there were shades of Ed Reed to his game coming out. Like there were shades. Not that he was going to become that or elevate to that, but I am a little bit surprised with Kitchens that it hasn't maybe fully come forward, where he's been able to be more of that guy in that secondary for you guys.
Yeah, well, time will tell. Because I also see that, and I like that he's become more of a well-rounded safety, and PFF does too. I think he's rated in the top 5, so he's a baller, man.
Let's go. I like this tape a lot coming out of college, man. Just complete player. The fact you get the ball skills and he could tackle in addition to that, usually a combination you don't get with prospects.
He fell because of the 40 time. I'll tell you that right now.
That'll do it.
Safety in 2020, what was it, 2024? You got to run 4.4. If you don't run a 4.4 in your safety, they like ding you for it. I think you're in like a 4.57.
That's right.
So, yeah. It's also why I don't care about the 40 times. I think it's more alarming if I see you run well and then I don't see that game speed. I don't have to worry about that with Kitchens. I see the game speed more than I see the 40 times. So,
yeah, and he's continuing to develop. So we'll see if he takes another step here as we go through the next year.
Yeah.
And Henry Diesel with a $5 donation, and he asks a question. Thank you for your double dono, Henry. Says, imagine Josh Allen with McVay.
Yeah, it's so funny because obviously, Josh Allen's incredible. But at the same time, I don't know if he's a better pairing than Stafford and McVay. McVay has had opportunities to go out and get mobile quarterbacks and has stuck by Stafford. I have a feeling he just doesn't want that off-script nature where it kind of takes over the game, where now it's like, okay, well, now I'm going to run power, right? I don't think he wants to do that. I know it sounds crazy. I could be wrong, but look at the quarterbacks he's worked with. You talk about Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, and Matthew Stafford. None of those guys are the mobility that Josh Allen is. He had an opportunity, and they picked, and don't get me wrong, he can move, but they picked Stetson Bennett. They had an opportunity to go out and get some backups. They got John Wolford. They got Jimmy Garoppolo. Carson Wentz is the most mobile. Carson Wentz and Bryce Perkins are the most mobile quarterbacks that they have had. They had Sean Mannion. He's not really like obsessed with that. So I don't know if that's a change in the future, but I'll tell you right now, even if he could have Josh Allen, for this year, obviously we're talking for the future, he would choose Josh Allen. But for this year, I think he would take Matthew Stafford. I really would. I really believe that.
Along the same lines of this mode of questioning is this has been an ever-changing, adapting situation. If Stafford comes back next year, this is null and void, okay? Mm-hmm. But let's play the game of Stafford not coming back next year. And Burrow, I talked about it last year with you guys on the roundtable, said he's setting the stage, guys. I've been down this road with Russell before. He's doing the Russell Wilson playbook thing, man. It's you set it out a year early, you put the hook into the waters, and then you just let the bob set. And he's setting the bob, and then he comes back last week, and he's all like super high drama press conference, like, love the sport. I don't know if I love the sport anymore. I mean, it's kind of hard playing in Cincinnati. I don't know if I want to. I don't know. Maybe I'll retire. Maybe I'll just go fish. I don't know what I'll do. I know you were a little out on talk a couple weeks ago, but this is an ever-changing way. I know you're set on Stafford coming back and that there's no chance, but let's just play the game. Mm-hmm. Stafford retires. 2 first-round picks. Mendoza is not the answer, even if you want to package those picks. You're not going to like him. Just trust me on that if you haven't had a chance to go deep dive on him. Do you roll that? Do you go that roll? Big time for Burrow.
One thing about Burrow that I thought was really crazy when I was looking through. I don't know if you saw my little project I did. This is the problem when I'm up super early in the morning. I do this. 6 a.m. on the West Coast, and I'm taking all the turnover-worthy plays and the big-time throws since 2021, and I was comparing him to Matthew Stafford, and I actually came away just blown away by Joe Burrow. 130 big-time throws and only 56 turnover-worthy plays in 63 games. That is the third most, behind only Stafford in big-time throws, and is the best turnover-worthy play percentage outside of Aaron Rodgers at a 53 turnover-worthy plays. So, takes care of the football, has mobility, can make every throw. My biggest issue is that he's already gone through so much on that body, playing behind that offensive line. And I don't think he has the same toughness as Matthew Stafford. And so that is my concern, is that how long does he last? Is this a ticking time bomb? Is this Deshaun Watson? Like, seriously, I don't know. I think, if you want my honest opinion, I think the Rams make the trade. I think the Rams, if Matthew Stafford retires, I think Joe Burrow will somehow find his way to LA.
I do too.
I think the Rams will 100% make that trade, because I don't think, and you know why I feel this way? Because I don't get the vibe that the Rams are dying to do F them picks. What I do get is that it's not that they're against trades. It's that they're trying to be more strategic in their trading. And I feel like this is one where they would have no issue giving up 2 first-round picks. And they would look at it like, we can give up our 2 first-round picks this year. If Stafford retired, we already have the quarterback position taken care of. We have the best offensive line in the league, or one of the best. We have the best run game in the league. We have Puka Nacua. We have Devontae Adams, right? We have a tight end room that has 12 touchdowns through 15 games. Like, we're good. Our defense is good.
Okay, so let me give you the proof. Let's go through over meet the road, and you being a general manager, because you're saying you think they will do it. I want to hear where your head's at on what you think the right move is, though. 3 first-round picks, a second, and Byron Young on a franchise tag.
Oh, I wouldn't do it.
What's your pathway then to the next quarterback for a team that's ready to compete right now?
You're saying if
remember
Stafford retires,
all this starts with Stafford retiring.
Well, I don't think Burrow's the only one that's going to be available.
Okay.
I think Baker Mayfield now becomes an interesting option. And the reason why I say this is because I think Burrow's going to be a lot more than just 2 first-round picks. I think it'll be maybe 3, maybe 4. So you would probably have to give up less for Baker, less for Dak. I wouldn't do it. I feel like there'd be a better option, like a better value option. And understand when I say this, I would look at this as an opportunity. If Stafford retired, right, now that contract is off the books. Now it's like $40 million or whatever. If I could keep that somewhat low, I still have to pay Nacua. I still have to pay Verse. I have to pay Kobe Turner. I have to pay Byron Young. I have to pay Avila. I have to pay all these guys. I think that would be the best course of action. The Rams, if they didn't go after Burr, I could also see them sticking with Jimmy Garoppolo for a year and just playing just build their team and just whatever. But I have a feeling like Dak or Baker Mayfield would be available. If the Buccaneers don't make the playoffs this year, Baker is on the table.
All right, so let me give you a 3-pronged scenario. Well, it's because I don't think Baker's going to be on the table for Tampa Bay with how he's played. I think they're going to hold on to him, because what is Tampa Bay going to do? Move off of Baker for who?
I don't know.
a team that thinks they're
Maybe
pretty good
Burrow.
and ready to compete. Well, I mean, yeah, if they're make them more, that'd definitely be a cascading effect. But let's go specific. We'll go Stafford retires. You have the chance of a Dak as an option of a trade. That's really about as good as you can get there for a on-point trade right now this next offseason, or try to push a first-round pick into next year to get the extra first-round pick for next year. Essentially, finding a way to punt the extra second-round pick into a draft where there's more quarterbacks. Theoretically, they're going to come out. Sellers will come out next year. You'll have, we'll see where Arch is at next year. There's a couple guys. Dante Moore out of Oregon will be out next year as well. I don't think he's coming out in this draft. So a bit more options. Should be more bountiful.
And this is Stafford retiring?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think punting the first round pick to 2027 makes the most sense.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of feel where you were at with that on where you're kind of leaning there a bit, because you guys might have a couple options and look at it. You got those picks in your pocket. And Ram fans that are in your comments right now, because many of you commented in my video on why I was freaking out when the Falcons made that trade. I want all of you to come back in that video and comment, we get it now. Okay. When that Burrow trade happens, we get it now, Brandon. We see the vision that you saw in that day as to why that was such a bad trade. Because if that sets you guys up to be able to get that and move on from Stafford if it goes, man, I'm going to be a very unhappy camper about that, my man.
Well, I'll say with Burrow, I think there's a way I could get talked into it. I could definitely get talked into it, but I think my concerns are genuine with the injuries. It's definitely not for the lack of talent. I mean, I think he is one of the more talented quarterbacks, accurate, clutch that there are.
I think you're 100% right. I do. I also think, and I think all your points are very salient ones in regards to being worried about grabbing him and maybe taking a different path, and it's all very level-headed of you. But I do come back to where I think the Rams would on this, which is that we have an opportunity to get Joe Burrow.
No, well, the Rams would do it. I'm telling you, the Rams will do it if Stafford retires. But I'm also here to tell you, Stafford ain't retiring. I think he plays another 3 years.
Oh goodness. Okay, let's go, Matty.
I think he's trying to get into the top 5 all time in all those standings.
Well, what that allows you to do with those picks, if you can do that, you know what I mean? Like what that allows you to do, and all the ways you can go with that selection. It's not a good draft at the top, but you're still going to get a hell of a player with that pick.
Yeah.
Hell of a player.
I mean, with Quentin Lake and Cam Curl free agents, I mean, you might have to get creative there. Maybe you get Caleb Downs,
He's nice. Do you want to take a safety that high? That's the question there. I mean, he is really, really nice, but taking those safeties that high, it's just very rare.
But they would use him as a star, though. That's the thing. So he'd be like, he wouldn't just be a safety. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think for them, what they're going to do is they're going to play a little bit of the money ball game, because like you said, you got all those guys up for contract at the same point in time. And Devontae Adams, for instance, like, especially with this hamstring injury happening at the end of the year, they're like, yeah, we got the one last year out of him. Do we want to roll that dice for another year versus 4 really nice first-round graded receivers in this draft that we might have our pick of the litter of? I mean, Jordan Tyson and Puka Nacua would be a pretty nasty combination.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're going to get Lemon, and it'll be Lemon and Nacua.
And that guy, you'll get him at the end of the first round, so you can wait on him until that your second first-round pick too, potentially.
And then we'll have to get a slot receiver named Lime.
Limited Lime. I like it. That'd be a hell of a combo. Ram 1911, thank you for the $2 donation. He says, listening to you guys at work. Let's go Rams. I love that, man. I love that. Appreciate you for that.
Appreciate you.
Jeffrey Thistle with the $2 dono says, Bradford for MVP. Show some respect.
Hey, I thought I was doing a nice job of defending that man's honor.
Yeah, you did a good job. You done better than some Hawk fans do with it. I'll tell you that, man.
Poor guy.
I'll tell you that.
That man has
It'd be funny if he's going to be one of our... If it will be funny if he rounds out his performance at the year and becomes almost one of our higher rated linemen when it's all said and done. That'd be pretty funny. Speaks to our line at that point if it ends up getting to that stage of things. Phoebe Morseox, thank you for the $2 donation. Thoughts on Tua being benched? How much dead money? Kind of weird the timing
God.
on
well,
this
I'll
one.
tell you right now, I was not talking about Tua when it comes to the quarterbacks. So
you're not in the Tua sweepstakes?
No, not in the Tua sweepstakes. I'd rather bring
31 million in base.
Kurt Warner out of retirement.
I'll take Phillip Rivers at this point, maybe.
I'm waiting for the Dan Marino thing. Isn't he supposed to come out of retirement?
Hey, man, the way these quarterbacks are being paid, they're like, yeah, I'm going to get a couple more million left on that. That's not really a very movable deal for them. It's a mess.
They screwed
for the most part. Yeah, they got 24 million in bonus money that they got to eat, so they could do it. They could do a post June 1st. Nobody's trading for that contract, so they're going to have to release him post June 1st, split the dead money up into 2 years. It does just feel like this is like they tried to blame the GM. This feels like this is how we talk ourselves into staying back with McDaniel, is that we blame it on everybody else within the situation. I don't know if it's really that. I think it could be all the things a bit here. I will say with Mike, you got to give him a little bit of, I think, you could make an argument to me on Mike McDaniel on he inherited Tua, and that you got to give him a quarterback that's not Tua, because Tua's got so many limitations that are so clear to how he plays the position that it really restricts you as an OC.
I got to be honest here. He gets no blame ever, but Stephen Ross is not a good owner. And it falls back on him. I did not forget you, Stephen Ross. I always throw owners under the bus, but he is not a good owner. The fact he allowed that to go on as long as it was for Chris Greer, can't fault Chris Greer. He just isn't good at what he does. Like we all know that, except for the owner that was paying him. So 20 years of just complete mediocrity of a general manager giving out awful contracts left and right. Everybody should have seen the writing on the wall when Jalen Ramsey wanted out, because it's like, if that contract went south, it's not gonna. And then they're gonna eat more with Matt Judon. You saw that, so there you go. They just keep eating all this money. I'll say this: Chris Shula is a perfect hire for them. But I feel like they're going to mess this up and bring back McDaniel. I think, to your point, I think they're kind of talking themselves back into it. And, I think it just falls back on a bad ownership.
Lack of vision, man. You're 100% on it with this. Ownership is where it begins. And when you have bad ownership, it doesn't matter what else goes on downstream. That's going to be enough to upend things. And I've seen it time and time again in NFL history, decade after decade, that this has been the case. It's even more of the case now in this modern era, as so many teams are doing so many smart things that are the good teams. You got an owner that's just there like, I think we should do this. What's the Manning rating? I want to trade for this guy. Let him go. It's a lot of that going on, man. Highly reactionary, and Miami's not going to be good anytime soon on the back of this kind of strat. And boy, you're talking about a team with just they have no vision. There is no vision in place on that team.
No. I don't think any coach should go there because it's an automatic fail.
Shula would be so much fun.
Because
with the father legacy, connections and stuff.
But like, who is he going to bring to fix this? This is a.
I don't like it for Shula. I don't like it from Shula. I just like it as a story. But from Shula's perspective, that'd be an exact situation that'd be like, how about you choose the coaching job rather than you go, well, I just have to take the first one that comes up as a coordinator, right? Which what they mostly do is like, oh, I got a job, I got to go take it. Wait, how's the landing spot, right? Like, where am I going?
Brandon, they're 11.6 million over the cap next year. They only
without
have
a quarterback.
78 million in cap space in 2027.
Yeah, without a quarterback too. By the way, they're all that dead money and no QB. So like
that falls on just an absolute joke in ownership. And then you look at other teams and you're like, okay, well, they're not dealing with this. Why are we dealing with this? Like, for instance, let's take a look. So the Rams have 81 million in cap space next year. They are currently the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl. The reason why I said they only have 78 million in cap space in 2027 when I was talking about the Dolphins, because the Rams have 194 million in cap space in 2027. So they're just run horribly, like horrendously. The Seattle Seahawks have 71 million next year. They have 135 the year after. Like, if you're one of the teams that has negative cap space already for 2026 and you're not going to make the playoffs, the Dolphins are actually in the worst position, because now they're a team that won enough where they're not going to be picking high enough to get some like complete blue chip game changer, and they're still bad. They didn't make the playoffs. So they're in an awful situation. It's like the Browns, it's the Browns. Like, okay, they're bad. By the way, Browns, another terrible ownership there with Jimmy Haslam. $6.8 million against the cap next year, Brando.
Well, and look at with the Dolphins as well. Just on that 2026, go take a look at that dead money column, and then look at the dead money column for the Rams and the Seahawks. In addition to being over the cap.
Yeah, they're paying Teron Armstead. They're paying $20 million to Jalen Ramsey.
So $34 million of dead money already on the before they've got to get rid of the Couture books, more dead money. They got to get rid of this other books, more dead money. Before the Judon thing hit today, they are at $26 million of dead money right now, as well as being $11 million of negative as it stands right now. Meanwhile, you made the point, $80 million of cap space in 26 for Rams, $70 million for the Seahawks, and about $500,000 a piece between the two of them on dead money so far.
It's just unreal at this point.
There's some non-serious organizations in this sport, and yes, it's parody, but we are more than ever right now with some organizations that are being run craptastically, Jake, on a variety of different levels.
Unreal. It's unreal. The Raiders, luckily enough, they're as bad as you think they are in 2026. They have 106 cap. So they'll I don't know if the GM Spygate or whatever the hell his name is gonna do it. I'm surprised I didn't get a laugh out of Brandon. His name is Spytech, but
I missed that one. I was trying to work on my Geno joke about their dead cap. It looks good now until the Geno's got to go because they're going to get out from under that thing. So they found a way to do themselves down on that, even with the money they have, because he's going to cost them pretty good grip of cash to get on that deal.
Oh my God. It's so bad.
Roger Morales, thank you for another $5 donation over there on Jake's side. Says, some fans out here don't think it's cool to be rowdy. I'm out here talking ish to everyone to get up and yell. I've got to admit, I've almost gotten in a couple fights in Seahawks Stadium in recent years, and the times I've gone there with this very thing Roger trying to do, which is to get people like, why are you all sitting? You're looking around, and this guy's sitting, they're sitting over here, this guy's stuffing 2 hot dogs in his mouth at once. Why are we yelling? What have we forgotten what we do here? You know, and you want to just about like shake people. And it's like, it's weird, Roger. It's weird. I've had the same thing happen where, I'm in there and it's like, come on. They need us. Let's go. And people, they just give you that dead doe-eye look. Come on.
It's like get off my lawn type of energy.
Oh, yeah. It totally, they look at you like you're a crazy man. And it's like, this is what we do in these. We've done this for decades. I go back to the 80s and the Kingdoms, and it doesn't matter whether you're good or you're bad. Like, everyone knew what time it was when you walked in that stadium, and no one had to be like informed that you're supposed to get loud. But it's like, this is the new norm, I guess, and that you gotta tell people actually to participate. Which it's like, why don't you just sit at home and watch it on TV if you want to be quiet?
Yeah, no, I agree. One sec, Brando. I gotta unlock the door for my girlfriend.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, she's just like, wait. I was like, oh shit. All right, one sec.
If you guys can for me today, please do hit that like button. Probably a good time right now, but a little bit hesitant getting this one going. But let's give a shout out here as we get a chance. Roger, you are awesome, and get those people up, man. Don't let them sit down. It's not allowed. Not allowed. Not in this dojo. Let's give a shout out to the our Sleeper app. I've been lating on this one today a little bit. Sleeper is the #1 sports app running in the game today right now. And both me and Jake are actually sponsored here by Sleeper. So you can use my code right now, which is NEST, or Jake's code, which is
JKB.
And they'll match up to 100% of your first deposit up to $100. So $100 from me and Jake to you through the Sleeper app. But wait, there's more, because there's a free $20 entry. No deposit needed. Just create a login and they'll put $20 into your account right now. So $120 from us to you when you use the Sleeper app, either NEST or JKB. I get that right? JKB?
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it right. Here's my picks for this week. Let's see what Jake thinks about this. We got Myers at over 1.5 field goals. Shaheed over 34.5 yards. Charbonnet over 35.5 yards. I think you're going to hit a lot of the A and the B gap runs. He tends to do those runs more than the outside on your lighter box. I got Kyron Williams going over 55 yards for the game, and then Puka Nacua is going to get 79 targets in this game. That's my prediction with no Adams out there, so I've got him at over 94.5. You liking my big ticket?
I like it. I think I would add Blake Corum to that. I feel the best about Puka, Blake Corum, and Kyron on the Rams side. I think I feel the best about K9, Charbonnet, and Myers on the oh my God, I'm sorry, I just called you the Eagles, the Seahawks side. Good Lord.
It happens. Bird on bird crime there. It's all right. But do use our code today, please, folks. Sleeper app, #1 app there is out there. They've got so many great picks. I love it that they've got different options of picks that you don't tend to get in some of these sites, some of these apps that you can utilize. Terms and conditions do apply. Please see their site for detail. In the state of Washington, there are some still limitations, but this is supposed to be opening up any day to be able to use in full. And you can always use it on a casino in the state of Washington if you are not able to use it just on your regular network, as it's supposed to be open up soon. The laws are freed up. We just got to wait for the taxation to come in, and then the app will be able to be used all the way around on this. A couple more donations here. Roy Froelich, thank you for the $2 donation. Yes, Brandon Perna's curse wheel landed on the Rams.
I don't know what that means.
That's almost... Perna's been, for whatever reason, Brandon Perna, you know Perna is, obviously, right? The Bronco content creator.
Well, now I hate him if he just cursed my team.
He's got a curse wheel. So it literally spins it like Price of Right style, and the thing spins around, and we've been hit, and every time he's hit us, we've lost. So it absolutely has worked every time. I don't know why he's dealing with voodoo and getting into dark magic. Somebody has not warned him evidently with this, but you guys are up, I guess, on it, and it's kind of undefeated. So the Black Arts are not with you, Jake.
Have the Rams ever had it before?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I would just say this. I don't believe in any of that shit. Because my favorite thing is when I was a kid, I used to literally not play the schedule on Madden. I would always skip to the next season because if I played the exact same games and I won them, they would lose them in real life.
Oh, wow.
So,
I would kind of end up doing the same thing a lot of times too. You got to do the same. Plus, it's always the fun that you get into the GM stuff in the off season, and you can kind of just free flow it at that point a little bit.
But
I do it similar.
When you're 3,000 miles away from the stadium, you realize that you literally can't do anything to control the outcome of the game.
No. I was like that though when I was younger, though. I was a little superstitious with that too.
Imagine having the main character syndrome to the 11th power that. Oh, literally. I just changed. I'm the only one. And what's the population, Brando? I'm the only one in the world who can determine the outcome of a game. Oh my! It sounds.
It's human mentality. No, it's human mentality, man. There was a whole commercial. Remember a couple years ago about the guy, like every time he goes down to get a beer down in his like basement. Yeah. The team scores a touchdown. And so by like the end of the commercial, he's just got to like stand on the stairs of the basement. And he's like listening through the cracked door because it's like he's thinking that's what's causing it to happen. This is human nature, man. I was like that when I was a kid. It was like if I chewed off a nail and he scored a touchdown, I got to chew off the other nail as I'm super nervous they're watching the game. So it's not just you, man. It's human nature. But for Roy, Brandon Perna's curse wheel. This is a good development for us in a tight game, man. We need this right now. All advantages we can get, we'll take here, including some of the dark magic, even though I don't believe it like Jay.
I will be rooting against his Broncos like crazy if his curse wheel actually does anything.
I'm bringing it up next Tuesday on the roundtable, bro, if we win. It's getting brought up, so be prepared for that. Like, I'm going to go find the clip and be like, Z-Bot, play the clip. Henry Diesel, thank you for the $5 donation. Henry, appreciate you for all of your support today. Says, curious to hear what Jake thinks about JSN. Puka is a dog, but I'll take JSN over him.
All right. So here's the deal. I was early on JSN as a superstar. Wasn't as high on him coming out of the draft. And then I got a look at him and I was like, this dude's going to be a superstar. Brando will attest to this. I've been saying superstar, not star, not like he's going to be good. Like, no, he's a superstar. So I was right on that. I think we're going a little bit too crazy here on he's clearly better than Puka Nacua. I'm not saying that's what Henry is saying, but I'm seeing a lot of that. I think Nacua is the best receiver in the NFL because he does everything. Whether he has to move the chains, whether he's going to set the record for most contested catches in a season in the PFF era, which I think is a huge deal. It's not being talked about nearly enough. Whether he can, work as a pseudo tight end. I mean, the blocking, the effort, the yards after the catch, the yards after contact, the broken tackles, the ability to go up and high point the football, they're both incredible. But I think Puka's still better than JSN. I think JSN is a more crisp route runner, but I think Puka is really, really improved in that aspect. And I just think Puka's the better player because of the physicality aspect. I think that just a little bit more physical. I think that is the difference there.
I think that's totally fair points. And I think a Ram fan was going to take Puka, and I think Seahawks fans will take JSN. I think, too, I would take it as far as longevity. I do worry a little bit with Puka. I mean, guys talked about retiring at the age of 30 years old that, just it's even last week he got hit. I know it was cramps, but you're just like, it always seems kind of close on that. And everything's always a contested catch at times with him where it's just, those are the type of plays you're throwing your body up and you don't know how the thing's going to land and you're going up 10 feet into the air.
That Anceloni dude always seems to be near when there's a wide receiver writhing in pain. It's funny how that works.
That Detroit team, man, they get after it. They get after it.
Man, the essence of that Bounty Gate Saints defense is definitely embedded in them. I'll tell you that.
And they seem to wear themselves out, too. It seems like every year by the end of the year, they've got guys that they're losing every week, multiple times over, too. Like the price that they have to pay for that style of play seems to be like cost of doing business. And you'll be your strongest early in the year, but you won't be your strongest end of the year. And I was just lauding McVay for this. I think this is a part that young coaches like a Campbell aren't thinking about as much. A guy that's been around the block, been to the Super Bowl, a couple different times, kind of dealing on a different advanced calculus kind of level in that regard. In how you manage your team and bring them along throughout the season.
I think people forget, McVay and what he had to go through, how, you call Eric Weddle 2 years out of retirement. That was a huge deal. And now, of course, Phillip Rivers just shot that down. But at the same time, he didn't because Eric Weddle had to come out 2 years out of retirement, comes out, and he's starting the whole playoff run. So, it was Robert Woods going down. Oh, we got OBJ. Robert Woods goes down while he's signing the contract. So he's out for the year. You lose Jordan Fuller. You lose Tyler Higbee. You lose Kendall Bland, who was the backup to Tyler Higbee. So now you're down to your fourth string tight end who only had 3 targets the whole year. Now he has to make plays in the Super Bowl over the middle. OBJ goes down in the Super Bowl, so now you have to rely on Ben Skoranek. I mean, there were so many injuries on that team, and they didn't have a healthy running back. I mean, if you think about it, the guy who was starting in the Super Bowl tore his Achilles in August. There you go, right? So Sean McVay, I think, learned early on. I think everything has been a learning process. It's why I say, do I wish Matthew Stafford started Sean McVay's career? Yeah, I do. I think if he had Matthew Stafford, I think the Rams have 3 Super Bowls right now. I feel confident in that because there have been times where I felt like they were the best team and they didn't win. 2018. For sure. And I felt like 2020, they had the best defense in the NFL. And if they had even an average quarterback for most of the season, they do win. But that said, I think going with Goff, you learn from these mistakes. And if you had Stafford, yeah, you would have more success, but you wouldn't have necessarily learned. So when Stafford retired, would you have been ready for the next step? I think because of that, I think Sean McVay is ready for any avenue that his career takes him. And that's the big thing. So to your point with, kind of doing a nice job of managing, I think he's already kind of learned from just the pain that he's had to go through with so many injuries on that team. And if he didn't learn in the Super Bowl season, he learned the year after in 2022.
Yeah, it's just part of what makes him such a tremendous coach. Isn't just about game planning or building the team. It's all of these facets that he's built up in his game over time. Which is why he's good as he is and why he has you guys playing as well as he does every year. And you're not going anywhere anytime soon, whether Stafford's there for 3 more years or whether he retires into this offseason. It's going to remain a very dangerous, very well-run team. And that sucks because it's much nicer when we get the Cardinal-like organizations that just can't get right. And, every decision after the next, you're like, ooh, hold your nose to that one. Goodness.
Goodness.
Goodness, man. It's tough. And you talk about a team that I hope they go with Mendoza. Please continue to do more stupid stuff, Arizona. Please package multiple picks and go get Mendoza. Please end up just being the bottom rung of this division for the next 10 years to come. That's great idea on your part there. which I think Mike's going to get caught up in it. And I think the fans will get caught up in the quarterback thing there without looking at the rest of their team and what needs to be done there. And it's like, they're talking himself now into Michael Wilson. It's like,
I love Michael Wilson, but yeah, I haven't done the research, to be fair, but none of these quarterbacks stand out to me. Like when you're watching Joe Burrow throw 60-plus touchdowns with LSU, and you knew he had like NFL talent all over the place, it's still like the ball placement, the accuracy, the timing, the consistency, but also this dude never got too high or too low. You know, he was always even keel, and he stepped up in the big moments, and you just could tell Joe Burrow was different, right? He was worth the #1 overall pick. You're watching Jameis Winston at FSU. He had some issues, but like, I don't think people realize like Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, they didn't end up being like superstars or anything. Those prospects that themselves are better than anybody in this draft. Like, and I think that's kind of the thing is over the course of time, those guys get buried. I think we need to do a better job of realizing what they were when they came out. Jameis Winston, FSU were a freight train. You know, he and Kelvin Benjamin were a great duo. You know, I always thought Jared Goff was overrated, but Jared Goff was a very good prospect as well. I thought Carson Wentz was like having Cam Newton and Kurt Warner in one. That was my biggest thing. You know, but like Fernando, you know, Mendoza, he seems like a cool dude, like you want to root for, and like congrats, like, you know, winning the, you know, out of Indiana, and you can tell they're building something there at Indiana. But it also just feels like he's going to go #1 overall because it's a quarterback. And Joe Burrow went #1 overall because he was Joe Burrow, right? Like, I don't, there are certain years where you feel like a quarterback goes #1 overall because he's a quarterback. I hate to say this because I love Cam Ward. Cam Ward went #1 overall because he was a quarterback, and the team that needed a quarterback was picking #1 overall. This year, it's going to be fascinating, but I think we all know if the Titans get it, they're going to trade it because I think Cam Ward is far and away better than any quarterback in this draft.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I see it the same way. And they're sitting in a good position with that because they got a couple teams with 2 first-round picks, not you guys, but a couple other teams out there. I think Browns and Jaguars wouldn't, but Browns would definitely be a team that maybe is the team that tries to make that jump. I know, man.
Imagine?
I know.
Could you imagine? You have to you get 2 first-rounders in a draft where you're probably sitting there like, I don't really want to pick. And then people are like, oh, I do. I'll give you 2. And they're like, okay. I guess I'll be patient for a year. Good.
You got to be that team that takes advantage. You took advantage of the Falcons last year. You got to be that team ready to pounce on these teams when they're going to do something stupid. I mean, butt ugly stupid.
Titans got 108 cap space next year.
If they go, if Browns give you 2 first-round picks to move up, and one of their first-round picks is going to be, then you're only going back to 6 or something, wherever the Browns are picking 5. You do it all day long, and you thank your lucky stars that you got to be in that position to do it. It almost always works out for that team that moves back like that, and that'd be just the rocket fuel the Titans would need, along with that cap space you talked about, to be able to take that thing and turn that around, especially in that division.
If the Browns did that, by the way, I'm calling up them immediately and saying, hey, what will it take to get Shedeur Sanders?
That makes sense.
Because I'll get the most out of him.
They can't seem to get him out of town fast enough.
Yeah,
they can't get him out of town fast.
I'll get the most out of him. You know, imagine him with McVay. I think he would grow. I think he would actually learn. I understand there's kind of the worry about the media circus in LA, and if Stafford throws an interception, is Deion Sanders going to be hooting and hollering for his son? But just to be fair, all those things that people were concerned about have not come up once. Shedeur hasn't been that. And his dad hasn't been that. It was all overblown, nonsensical bullshit to keep his stock down. Maybe he wasn't a first-round pick for people. He was at least a second-rounder. It's absolutely ridiculous that he fell as far as he did. I'd take him in a heartbeat. Absolutely.
Yeah, it seems inevitable that Cleveland's going to move in this offseason one way or another because it's been a weird, the whole situation's weird there, but again, bad ownership. Team can't get out of its own direction. Another one of those teams that just continues to make the same problems and same mistakes time and time again and doesn't ever like rectify it or just try to hit the reset button, just constantly trying to re-engineer the chairs on the Titanic. Let's move the chairs over to the left side. Let's move over to the right side. Oh yeah, and the negative cap space, because that's also part of that I'm talking about, where it's, well, maybe we'll we got this bad guaranteed contract by Deshaun Watson. I know, let's base the bonus, whatever base out we got this year, and let's make that harder to get out from underneath down the line. Let's continue to do that. That's smart. Let's not move Myles Garrett when we can get maximum assets back in return. If you'd move Myles Garrett, gotten 3 first-round picks back, made the trade last year to get the 2 first-round picks at the top of the draft like they did for this next year as they've set it up, what position would they be in right now? I mean, how beautiful would they be looking? Cap will be looking beautiful, picks for days, but they just can't do it. It's almost like some teams are immune to making the smart decision, Jake. Like they just, it's just like, I can't, can't do it. It's too
some
easy.
of these are pretty
it's
simple,
too easy.
And they still
It's simple, easy. It's like, that's a no duh to me, right? You ain't won shit from a Browns perspective for years.
No.
You can't get right. Your cap situation's in the toilet. You fully guaranteed a contract to a quarterback who's ass and likes handies. And it's like reset the button, hit the reset button. Just it's okay. It's not the worst thing in the world to just say, hey, you know what? We missed this one. Let's reset this back and let's turn this thing back over and get this right and get a true chance of it. But I bet Cleveland doesn't do it again this offseason. I bet they do some weird for the moment move, for the now moment move. And it's just like, we're going to be sitting there going, same old Browns. That's why we call you the Browns. End of the brown out.
Yeah. Oh my God. They're so, yeah. I mean, this kind of coincides with what I was saying to Mike. Like, do you want to be the team that just sees the front door? Or do you want to actually be a team that knocks the front door down? And it's like, I don't understand why you would just continue to peddle the same BS to the same loyal fans that go and fill your stadium when you're the Browns. I mean, you haven't done anything worth hooting and hollering about. I mean, the best quarterback that you've seen was Baker Mayfield, and you cast him out and you made him feel like complete dog shit. So much so, he wanted to quit football. Like, you know what I mean? At some point or another, you have to figure yourself out. And so, yeah, I mean, me personally, if I was running the Browns, I would be trading picks. I'd be building around Shedeur Sanders. That's how I feel. And if I felt for any second that my head coach, Stefanski, couldn't get the most out of Shedeur Sanders, I would send him on the next plane home. That's what fair. I would be doing. I know I have a great defense. I know that Jim Schwartz is one of the best in the league at what he does. I already have that side of the ball locked in. The offense is the biggest issue. That's the biggest issue. So what do? I have some weapons. I have Jerry Jeudy. Isaiah Bond looks pretty good, right? But like running game, I got Quinshon Judkins. The offensive line is terrible, so I invest in the offensive line. I like my tight ends. I mean, I got Harold Fannin Jr. and I got, Njoku I think is a free agent, but so really what is it? It's the quarterback. It's investing in the offensive line to protect the quarterback. If I invest in the offensive line and I actually put time and effort into developing Shedeur Sanders, I mean, I could turn the Browns into a good team. You're muted. I think the cat walked over the mute button.
Cat was crying, so I was trying to make sure she didn't overhit you on that. I think you're on the right track with it with the Browns. That's definitely an approach that I would be open to taking and probably would try to take if I was them. Just building it so solidly. I'd like to get out from potentially even, I don't think they're close. And so I think we come back to, I know you just signed the Garrett contract, but you talk about find a way out of that to go get some capital back if you can this year right now. I'd be doing that too in addition to it. I know the defense is fine. That Schwartz still remains there at that point if he stays and you're going to keep Stefanski. I'm open to moving Stefanski too, especially if he can't be sold on Shedeur. You heard the whole thing about the MacGyver connection there. Did you hear about that?
I did not.
This is crazy. Remember when Deion Sanders dumped on Tim McIver back when Deion was going, this might be too old for you, but Deion Sanders was playing two-way and he's playing both sports at the same time. He literally played in a baseball playoff with the Braves and then was going on and playing the Cowboys. Tim McIver was a baseball old head who was like, you can't be playing both sports at the same time. You're doing a disservice to the... Deion took exception to that. They're celebrating the Braves are a postseason win. He takes this ice bath and 4 separate times fills up this bucket with ice water and dumps it on McCarver, who's trying to be a reporter and just do the reporter thing in the deal. Come back around. Stefanski is, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's married to like the daughter of McIver.
Are you talking about Tim McCarver?
Yeah.
The announcer used to announce like
Yeah.
the World Series and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. That's
Hold
crazy.
on. Carver connection. I think it's his daughter, I want to say. Yeah, did fictional family link or something. Yeah, there was something I might be off on this, but there was something I heard with like Tim McCarver and Kevin. Tim McCarver is not Kevin Stefanski's grandfather. There may be something not to this now that I look at it, but I was hearing something because it was like the whole thing with Stefanski being totally out on playing Shador. There's been just some weird thing there with him and that whole situation from how they drafted him to rolling Dylan out there versus him, who Dylan was obviously nowhere near in the same territory even where Shador is. Like Dylan cannot be a starting quarterback in this league. It's not happening.
Yeah, no. I like him as a spot starter backup, Case Keenum-esque guy when he figures it out, because I don't think he's still there yet. But good Lord. I mean, when you watch the two, Shador is so much better. It's really not even close. I've actually been really impressed with the throws Shador's made because I don't think he's had the best development this year. I don't think he's had a helping hand there. I think he was kind of just thrust into a role and just made the most of it. But yeah, for a guy that's constantly, trashed and his character's always in question, I mean, he sure seems like a guy that has some things that you can work with. And I don't feel any different than I did when I first watched his film. He can make all the throws. He's not like crazy mobile, but he can move around enough. And, he's fearless. And that's a big thing for me as well.
I do. I think he could be the answer there long term if they're willing to build around him. We'll go with the last donation here. And again, I want to thank all of you guys, both on Jake's side, my side, for so many of the donations and support today to both of our channels. If you can hit both the like button, maybe get subbed up on either side. The link to Jake's channel is in the description on my end. So if you're on my side, just click that link directly to Jake's channel, sub on up to him over there. We'll definitely have it on again here. We do the NFC West Roundtable every week, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time over on that channel. The Almighty Dagda, thank you for the $10 donation, says, Perna cursed Seattle a few weeks back, and Seattle lost to the Bucks. Perna cursed the Colts 4 times, and they lost every time. So I'm saying it's this weird thing that he's tapped into. I can't explain it, but it's not good your guys' numbers up this week is all I'm going to say there.
Yeah, well, if he wants to do that, then I'll curse the Broncos right back at him.
You need to put a curse wheel together and be all Broncos on the curse wheel.
Yeah, don't just be all Broncos. That's so funny. Bo Nix.
Which one will it land upon? One with a Bo Nix gets injured, just to really F with him.
Nah, I never.
Payback's a bitch.
Bo Nix throws 7 interceptions. Just it's all Bo Nix throwing 7
exactly,
interceptions.
all Bo Nix. Just
I didn't ring it. I swear.
You can do us dirty. But Almighty, that's a great note, man. And hopefully we've been bit by Perna's wheel so many times in the past. Hopefully maybe one time it can maybe work in our freaking favor here for once. That would be great. But thank you for the $10 donation. Great note on your part. And we lost the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when that curse wheel came up. So it's a real thing.
Gracious, man.
I wish it wasn't. He should have just put those dark arts away. He's going to pay a price on this one. Don't be surprised when he starts growing a tail at some point. It's the reality of this. But I want to thank, big shout out here to Jake. He is not 100% today. He's got a limp, a hitch to his giddy up. His stomach's turning over in knots. They're trying to, I guess when you play Detroit, it takes a physical toll on both the players and the fans at the same time. It's
like
both
that
to get there. But he's been so kind enough here to hop in here for 3 hours. So do again, please get subbed up on here. He dropped on 3 hours early on this season, taking a lot of his time out. I know he's a busy man this time of year. I really do appreciate it. And of course, I always love having a chance to cut it up with you, Jake.
Oh, I love these. And you're such a good friend of mine in this industry. So you always got my 3 hours. Don't you worry about it.
Oh, it's mightily appreciated, as I know that the fans love this, and we have the game of the year. How can we not unpack this in a kind of a slow burn fast? It's almost to me a savoring as much as anything else. Getting to savor this and knowing so many teams out there that we've talked about that can't get right, that are never getting right, that have no hope, and yet we find ourselves with our teams humming with them, playing really good football at this time of the year with looking as good a chance to go win it as anybody else. And if that doesn't get you excited as a football fan, you better go check your pulse.
I know, man.
I know what you're doing watching.
We were talking about it on the round table. Everyone else was like hoping for their team, and you and I like could see the future, and we're like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. Remember,
it's coming down the line. You can just see it's coming. It was like inevitable. It's like Thanos, inevitable. This was just going to happen. Hell, it might still happen a third time. That still does kind of feel as well.
It feels inevitable it'll be a third time, because the only way it wouldn't be a third time is if Seattle wins this and then they lose to the 49ers, or if the Rams win this and then Seattle loses to the 49ers.
Yeah.
Because these teams are likely end up at 1-5. They should be 1-2. I actually am for reseeding after seeing this season, because it just NFC South don't even deserve a home playoff game, much less deserve a team representing them in the playoffs. It just awful. It's like putting a jobber in a Royal Rumble. They're not going to win, so like, why would you even bother? So yeah, I think. I mean, it would really just mean that, like, if the 5 seed lost to the 4, that's the only way. I think it's pretty much set up, right? I mean, the 5 and the...
Yeah. It's kind of set there for that next...
Unless we see some upsets. I mean, we've been talking about how kind of the NFC is wide open aside from the Rams and Seahawks. It's just kind of a whole conglomerate of just,
It's true. It's true. But we've been able to at least elevate ourselves above that a bit, which has been the really cool part. But I do agree. I think it's probably inevitable we face again, maybe even into the second round of the playoffs. And if that's the case, bring it on. It's been a hell of a season. It'll just be all that much more funner there for a third matchup. But let's see what happens this Thursday night. Let's have a clean game. Let's get out of this healthy, Jake, and let the best man win.
Yes, and last but not least, for Rams fans out there, we all know what happened the last time the Rams played Seattle 3 times in a season.
There you go. So let's see. It's our turn now. It's our turn now. Well, there's a hat beanie bet on the line here. Whoever loses has got to wear the other's beanie on the Roundtable show this next Tuesday. So the beanie battle is at stake here this next Thursday night. Just one more extra cherry on top to all the intrigue of this game. All the eyes of the nation upon us, seeing how this thing's going to play out. So have a great game. Let the best man win. But let's maybe also face you again here down the line in the playoffs one more time, Jake.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for doing this, brother. We appreciate y'all for watching. We will be back on Tuesday with the Roundtable show. Jake's cooking over there. He'll be rolling, I'm sure, as well through the rest of this week. Continue to get better over there, my man. Thank you again for doing this. We will be back here in about 15 minutes as I got another show lined up here. But until that time, please don't you ever forget, go Hawks.